tell you. It's really simple.
The man some fucking breakfast soup, bitch!
This looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me. Cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without
Breakfast soup!
And I said, what about
Breakfast soup!
I need to tell you something.
Breakfast soup!
Gotta be fresh, gotta go downstairs. Gotta have my bowl, gotta have
Breakfast soup! Breakfast soup! Breakfast soup! Breakfast soup! What's going on, everybody? It is Saturday afternoon, May 30th, 2020.
Yes, it is.
The hits just keep on coming. This is Breakfast Soup. I think this is episode 106 or 107. I am Don Tony, as always, and joined along with me is...
A very, very warm Anthony Missionary Thomas. Dear
Yeah,
Lord.
I'm baking over here. And even nighttime when I do the shows, it's still real. I got to do something about the lights. Because even though they're LED lights, they're still generating a hell of a lot of heat. And, it's bad enough that it's always hot in here when I do the show. But when I run into like a little glitch like I did Monday for a few minutes with the audio, I start dripping sweat everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Hey, I actually welcome the warmer weather. We hear that the virus cannot survive in sunny, warm temperatures, so I think this might actually be the best medicine for the time being as far as what's going on. This world is just an absolute mess.
It's definitely taking its toll. I mean, everybody's kind of going through some hardships right now, one way or another.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, whether it's financially struggling because of the pandemic and the closure of businesses, to, whether it's more personal and everything going on with, George Floyd and everything like that. So, I mean, there's just, it's been a cavalcade of just a lot of negativity lately, and I'm hoping that it just releases a little bit soon, because people need a break. I think people are legitimately snapping, and I mean, for good reason. There's reasons to be angry, but
My girl took her ring off earlier and threw it at me. An hour later, she's like, "Can I have it back?" It's just, you see tensions. I mean, tensions are just across the board.
right.
I've done a lot of soul searching in 2020, even before any of this shit happened. But I tell you, it's really at the breaking point. And, when we had that space launch earlier, I took a nap for like a half hour and I set my alarm because I wanted to see the space launch. And me and my fiance looked at each other and we pretty much said the same thing. They said, just based on what's going on in this world right now, wouldn't be surprised if the fucking thing blows up. Seriously, it's just one after the other after the other. I mean, we have COVID, then we have all the economic hardship, the mental anguish, the physical anguish, people dying, uncertainty. Our favorite hobbies like pro wrestling and sports and other things we can't do. Even concerts we can't go to. You can't go out to have a nice meal with your friends or significant other. You can't go to the store. You can't really spend time with your family like you want to. And then we have the tragedy of Shad Gaspard. Then we have the tragedy of Hana Kimura. And I got to tell you, man, I talked about it last Wednesday, directed everybody over to your show, talked about it last night for a few minutes as well. much props, big time props for your discussion about hafu. A lot of people have no idea what that is, have no idea what goes on in the Japanese culture. And, as I said on Wednesday, the more research I did, legitimately, the more depressed I got when you see about the detergent suicide and, just the way the Japanese, culture treats, mixed races. It's,
Right.
and for everybody out there on Patreon right now, by the way, much love for everybody tuning in live, download, replay. But if you have not checked out Soup's episode focusing on this, you want to just give everybody a little overall synopsis of what hafu is and, how devastating this was for Hana Kimura to live through her entire life.
I mean, yeah, last week Thursday we did a show where I addressed, the life of Hana Kimura, and the issues that I had were at the time every single news outlet, from wrestling journalists to actually like Fox and a few other mainstream news outlets, were all just stating that this was an isolated incident based upon cyberbullying, and I knew that it was more than that. I knew that there was a history, especially considering that she was hafu. She was half Japanese and half Indonesian. And her mother as well was dealing with being a hafu. She's half black, half Japanese. And there is a stigma amongst hafu people that the Japanese have zero respect for them. And this is something that, more than outcasts, it's almost like they're not even human beings. They're considered by the old Japanese community. Let me clarify that too, because I've had other Japanese people now hitting me up, and people that were actually close to Hana themselves telling me that I was a lot closer. I was a lot more accurate than I even know, and that was even being reported. But she faced a lot of hardships in her early days, as you would expect, because she was in the limelight, because her mother was also a wrestler and an athlete on TV and stuff like that. But because of that, kids are mean from the get-go. Before social media, kids are trained to have the same kind of mannerisms that their parents do. And hafu are seen as animals. It literally means half-breed.
Now, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Sure.
As you continue, I want everybody to just think about the tragedy of George Floyd, and then you just imagine that, people.
I don't know if you
are.
can compare the two.
Well, I'm just saying, imagine.
I understand what you're trying to say.
We've made so much progress in the last 50 years with race relations. But you would think in 2020, you wouldn't have human beings being looked at and treated like animals.
Different country, different culture. And I mean, for the story that I brought up with me trying to search down my culture in my early days, like I said on the show, even back in the 90s or early 2000s, I reached out to different church groups with Japanese people and Japanese youth groups because I wanted to be a part of that, to learn about my culture. And as soon as they found out that I was half Hungarian, half Japanese, they really wanted nothing to do with me. And then later on, during the MySpace days, I talked about trying to, get closer to other Japanese people that were in my area and stuff like that, just to be friends, just to find out more about my culture. Not necessarily trying to invade my culture or anything. I don't know. I wanted a firsthand experience from other people that had lived there. And that's when I really discovered what the word hafu meant, because they kept calling me half-breed, and I had no clue. I at the time, I even said it before too, that I thought it was just a breakdown of the translation, because there's a lot of words that don't translate properly. I was using also the example of a North Korean girl. She was on a YouTube video, and they were doing a video where they were eating barbecue, American barbecue, and she kept calling the chef an American bastard, not really understanding that calling somebody a bastard is a negative connotation. Yeah. But she was saying it genuinely meaning it to be nice. But it was one of these examples that even back, in the early 2000s and stuff like that, I always figured it was just a translation error until I really started getting a lot of the air of you don't belong here, you don't need to talk to us, and it was that kind of arrogance. And from what I understand, a lot of that, over the years has started to change. The kids, when they're still in grammar school, grade school, they still seem to have those kind of prejudices. But obviously, when they get older, some of that seems to lean off, because in Japanese culture, hafu are used for pretty much everything entertainment. Like, they love to look at hafu. They're exotic, half
It's like the
mixed
circus.
people or mixed race.
Almost like the
Yeah, they're
circus.
looked as exotic people, right? But at the same point, there's a lot of prejudices and racisms that go along with that too, where they're not allowed to, work in certain jobs. It's very difficult in politics because they're not regarded on the same level as regular Japanese people. So it was interesting to me that this was the life that Hanakamura lived every day, and being in the spotlight, she was prone to these racisms upon her. And I mean, I'm only speaking from an American guy trying to reach his Japanese culture in America, and I can't even imagine the levels of difficulty that she had. There's a documentary that I also was quoting a few times too. You can find it on Amazon Prime, but it's about the life of a hafu. And it goes into great detail how if you're actually a hafu, you do everything that you can to hide that fact. You don't want to publicize that fact. Like, you try to live your life without anybody ever asking what your heritage is. And one of the stories that came from that documentary that was so moving to me was there was a mother telling her daughter that she wasn't sure if it was a mistake to let her be born. And the only person that she can tell in her life that she's half Korean is her husband or her fiance. And if her fiance leaves her at the altar, well, that's just her fate. That's her destiny. And it's just that mindset, the fact that that still goes on today is just insane to me. But the problem is that hafu only make up 1.5% of the population of all Japanese people. We're in such a minority that there's only one hafu child born per 50 Japanese children. So it's a weird racism, and no, I would not compare anything like this with George Lloyd at all.
No, I don't mean his death, but I'm just saying the way blacks are treated in many areas, like outcast, profiled and just labeled when they don't even know the person.
Yeah, the labeling is rough, but
it is.
Once again, like I said, I had people reach out to me that said some very nice things about the episode, and I'm very humbled and honored that people are backing it up. I mean, it's unfortunate that still TMZ and Fox and all these other websites out there still report it as just an isolated cyberbullying incident over clothes. Yeah. The reality is it goes much deeper. Yes, the cyberbullying incident, as I said on the show, was the catalyst, right? But it's not the cause,
right? You know what I mean? It was. There were other, hafu and other things created the bomb. Social media lit the fuse.
Right. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Correct.
Yeah. Man. You think, in hindsight, Hana Kimura was put on Terrace House because she was hafu?
Yeah, there's a couple people that were saying that there was other hafu members on Terrace House. I don't doubt it. Once again, Japanese media loves hafu people. They look good on TV. That's exactly what it is. It's just they just don't get the respect in the real world. So of course they picked her because she has a famous mother. She was a famous wrestler herself. It was a good fit. Yeah, I mean, reality show wise, and another thing I want to say too, real quick, and I don't know if you talked about this yesterday or not. I might have missed it, but major props to Sasha Banks for.
I didn't bring it up yesterday because. Even the New Day had the band for Shad Gaspard, but these shows were taped a week and a half ago, and we talked about a week ago as far as putting tributes on the armbands and everything. I mean, that was very, very nice of Sasha Banks to do it.
It was.
I kind of wished. I know. I am
a
little
if
selfish.
Her husband, Kid Mikaze, has any relation.
I don't believe so. A few people had asked me that for Wednesday Night Dynamite, and I didn't see any connection. I didn't see any family tree connection, but me, I
No, I
thought,
didn't mean like related that way, but I mean, was there? I don't know. I mean, I know his last name is Tan, and I know that his family are Japanese. I'm not sure if they're Hafu or not.
I
But
didn't
I
say, you
wasn't
know what? That's
sure
a good question. I'm gonna look that up. It would, that's a very good
because I mean,
question.
if that's the case, then Sasha Banks has a lot more attachment to this story than we're even talking about.
Yeah.
Because even if her husband is Hafu or something, or has a direct connection with Hana Kimura,
Right.
I think that there could be a lot more to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyrie Sane was very close to her.
Right.
Oscar knew her. A lot of wrestlers knew her, and people.
And to her mother too.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't criticize someone for not wearing a band or wearing a band. Sometimes it's so rough and so emotional that you can't even get yourself to do that. I mean, I for a very long time with my grandmother, like, if there were pictures around or something like that, I had to turn them backwards or look the other way. Any thought of her was just too rough. So, but, major props to you again for that, because, that was a perfect example. When I say, even when I was talking about it yesterday, like, you could tell the people who are truly affected by certain stories or certain tragedies or certain things, when they take the time and actually research the whole story and not just take the little pieces, copy and paste to make it look like that they're just as, remorseful as everybody else. And
Sure.
and then you go through the motions, and then you bring up the little thing here and there. I was actually the other day on Facebook chatting on a group page, about AEW stuff, and the Hana Kimura stuff came up, and there were two podcasts. I'm not going to say who they are, but it's not our inner circle or anything. But two podcasts came up, and they were talking about how they followed her here, and she was bright star and this and that. And then there was a couple of people that were asking everybody, like, what's your favorite matches of her career?
Right.
And they couldn't come up with nothing. I mean, zero. And you could tell that one of them Googled it and then, posted it. But the funny thing was that the Google link, when they saw it on Google and copied the whole, match name, there was two misspellings on it. And people realized that the person just cut and pasted.
See, I make no bones about it. I was not, really in depth with her career.
A lot of people weren't. A lot of people weren't.
I know, but there's people that feel like ashamed of that fact, or they need to be the biggest Hana Kimura fan.
Right.
You
don't need to be a Hana Kimura fan
human
to.
level. This had nothing to do with the wrestling world. This affected me on a human level.
Yeah.
This was more about the respect of, who she was as a person, and trying to understand, at what point was it so bad that she had to take her own life?
Right.
I just don't think that you need to be the biggest fan of someone in order to have a valid point or valid reason.
Exactly. So on point. And that's one thing you see on social media. All these gigantic tribute pages to Hana Kimura, and they know nothing about her. Of course, it affected them, but the thing is that you don't need to be a fan of someone to express remorse or to affect you. A lot of young people that never saw a Crime Time match, but just the fact that Chad Gaspard, gave his life, for his son, put his life aside for his son, that's something that, you may want to, grab onto, and it kind of keeps with you for the rest of your life. Rob Taker says No, I just want to say Rob Taker said that SmackDown matches were taped this past week.
Okay.
This coming Raw was taped
Yeah.
last Tuesday, apparently, which I don't. That actually doesn't make sense because Raw doesn't tape 3 weeks in advance. If last week's Raw, if they taped a Raw last Tuesday, that would have aired this past Monday. So I think the reason why he's saying that is there's a possibility we may see on this coming Raw Kyrie Sane or someone wearing some type of tribute for Hana Kimura.
Got you.
So
That would make sense too. I just thought it was a very classy thing to do. I mean, regardless of her reasons, completely regardless of her reasons, I thought it was very classy that
Yes.
she wore it. You know, that she made no bones about it. I thought it was very respectful. And you know, I mean, obviously, me and Joe, Joe knows Sasha Banks a little better than I do, but I mean, we've kind of made fun of sometimes, but not. I don't
Not
think ever in a
maliciously.
terrible way. But
Yeah.
this is something that, as a human being, she gets props for
Yeah.
in my book, anyways. So,
Speak-
oh gosh, what was I going to say? I was going to bring up. Did you see the JTG on Lillian Garcia's podcast?
No, I didn't see him on Lily. I saw the tribute that he posted, but he was with Lillian because I know Lillian, I believe, is in California.
Yeah, he did a
also.
Lillian one. Right. I haven't gotten a chance to see the whole thing yet. I saw a clip of it, and I just really want to get more feedback on it. I'm definitely going to sit down and watch it, but I was just curious if you actually saw it, because it seems like he really was just, and rightfully so. That's his brother. He was crippled in that interview. You could just feel,
Gutted.
yeah, he was broken down. But I was just wondering if you had a chance to actually
Not
listen
yet.
to it
Not yet. I mean, I plan on seeing it before Monday's show to talk about it. Yeah, I definitely plan on seeing it this weekend for sure.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's it's going to be hard to watch, because it just brings you down. But again, I didn't know Shad Gaspard personally, but I think he's probably, if there was any way he could talk to everybody right now, he's probably telling everyone, yo, smile, think of me as good, But still,
I'm just saying that JTG and MVP are guys that were very close to him in their personal lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm very interested to hear, especially JTG break down, the way that he feels about it. And I mean, because he's going to be able to tell you, he's going to be the one that's closer to tell you exactly what was going through his mind at those last moments, obviously about his son and everything else like that. Maybe JTG has even had conversations with his son since then. I don't know, but I'm very curious, because if I trust anybody to break it down and be honest about it, it's definitely JTG.
absolutely. We have some questions to get into, and
Sure.
a bunch of them we bundled really into one topic because it's obviously the biggest news going on right now. I know you had mentioned to me even before we went live that you and Joey have pretty much stood away from this topic just to not bring everybody down, which I think that's an awesome thing, and it's very, very, very cool of both of you.
Oh, we've had fun talking about Larry the Lizard and cloning today. So.
Yeah, sure. I mean, laughter and smiles and good is needed more right now than ever before because, like things happen in threes, and I know they were totally unrelated with each other, but, when Shad Gaspard, this is how I look at it, the Shad Gaspard tragedy happened and saw that this man, hero many times over before this even happened. There was so much love and outpouring of, just stories and support and just everybody getting together and the GoFundMe for the family and the tributes and everything. And, you figure like, okay, especially in the middle of COVID, maybe this brings everybody, a little bit more together, just be better person. That lasted a day or two, right out the fucking window. Then Hana Kimura, the suicide, and I brought this up yesterday, and people could just look at timelines. Unfortunately, people haven't figured out how to hack it, Facebook or Twitter yet. But you look at a lot of people's timelines, they didn't talk about Hana Kimura for a day and a half. It was only until after everybody made it a conversation du jour that everybody was talking. Then suddenly all these tributes came out. And again, it's not that
Which
people
is
had,
fine.
yeah,
I mean, at
well,
the end of
yeah,
the
better
day,
late
though,
than never. But my point is that when you see the pattern, that's when I put the formula up a week ago, and I said, this is the pattern. You put people down, you insult them, you hurt them, you masquerade it with jokes, you say all this heinous stuff, then tragedy strikes, And then everybody, we should be better for each other. We should not, just assume that the person you're joking about, is taking it as a joke, and we need to be better people and stop the cyberbullying and stop the maliciousness, and then soak in all of that. Yeah, you're right. We got to be better people. And then within a couple of days, that wears off. And you go right back to step one and cracking jokes and making fun of people for following this wrestler or following this promotion or following this. Rip the promotion. Rip the wrestlers. Right. Don't rip the fans. Don't rip the people that actually give a shit. I saw some girl, her name was Tiffany, I believe it was, AEW Tiffany. And she is, a younger woman, maybe in her 20s. And she just expressed a lot of love for AEW. And some asshole, I think with a blue check mark, really made a nasty joke about her. Like basically calling her a goof for being like such an uber fan. And I felt so bad for this girl. I never interacted with her before. And you see all this outpouring of love. You see, we need to stop this. A couple of days that wore off. Boom, right back to step one. So now we get the situation with George Floyd. And, we got to stop racism. We got to love each other. We got to do this. We got to do that. And within 24 hours, right back to step one. Ripping people, mocking people, making fun of people, hiding it behind jokes, this and that. And I tell you, I want your thoughts on these riots. I don't know how much you heard of what I said last night. But just to summarize it, I will never apologize for changing my views and sometimes evolving for the better, sometimes evolving for the worst. I've changed a lot of my views over the last couple of years. I used to rip the shit out of Kaepernick for kneeling. And this was before Cena posted the photo today of Kaepernick. But last night on the show, I said, you know what? I always said that the military, there's a lot of members of our military who are insulted and hurt when you kneel during the national anthem. But then I started thinking in the last bunch of months, I said, you know what? A lot of our military turn the other cheek. That, even though it may hurt their feelings, they love our country, they fight for our country, and they fight for freedom, even if it's freedom of some speech that you don't like. And I think our military would maybe not like it, but would still allow it. And now I agree with Kaepernick. Now I actually agree with a lot of views. I look back at when Obama, yes, painted the overly broad brush saying that the police acted stupidly. Never in a million years ever thought I would say to myself, you know what, he was right. And I don't like the devastation that's going on right now, but I think it's necessary. I think physical devastation is the only way that it will stop human devastation. It's not right to ruin strangers, buildings, businesses, everything else. The government's done a pretty fucking damn good job of it the last couple of months. But my point is that, your peaceful protest, you do it in the 50s, you do it in the 60s, you do it in the 70s. And sure, it makes an effect on a lot of people. But unfortunately, peaceful protests will not affect 100% of the human population. You'll always have that core group of Karens. You'll always have that core group of people who absolutely just hate every other race but their own. And I
I hate to interject, but I'm looking at this right now. In Philadelphia, I know that the rally is tonight, but it's already started. And they've already destroyed banks. There's already cars being set on fire.
Well, look, that aspect of it are Antifa that are using this tragedy as an excuse to basically destroy and destruct. there are white supremacists that are actually
That's the problem.
putting
is
the
that
bricks
there's
out there
the-
to, they're, you know what they're being right now? Who's that wrestler that died, Sean O'Hare? They're
Right.
being the Sean O'Hare with the leather jacket. Go ahead. No, there's a brick there. Come on. You let your frustration out. Think of all the cops. Think of Freddie Gray. Think of this. Think of that. It's okay. It's okay. That's what they do. There's some cops. People should look up 1968. My point is that I don't condone any innocent person's business building getting destroyed, because
Right.
those people may despise cops more than the person destroying the building. But the point is that peaceful protests will only get you this far. And then maybe now, when a entire city gets destroyed or a town gets destroyed, that next cop who thinks his power, justifies anything that he does, he may think twice and say, man, if this fucking guy dies on me, man, my fucking entire neighborhood's going to be in ruins. The next Karen that fucking starts jumping off if there's even a little innocent, little inch of cell phone video of Karen being Karen, I might lose my entire fucking career. My family might get doxxed. I might lose everything. So unfortunately, I think this uber embarrassment and this devastation that's going to be the only way to scare some people straight. Because I don't think peaceful protests will ever get in the soul of some people out there that still, there's a black person in my neighborhood, he's up to no good. There's, a Latino family cranking, menudo, go back to your fucking country with that garbage music. Meanwhile, they were born in the United States.
I'm watching people throwing bombs in Philadelphia. I'm watching people setting houses on fire and dancing on them. Philadelphia is literally on fire right now.
It's absolutely terrible. And,
I mean,
look, again, I don't condone.
the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I literally live here. I'm outside of the city.
Yeah, I don't condone
I just
it.
moved to this area,
But I hope every fucking person out there, especially police officers, like I said, I brought this up last night. I watch a lot of Live PD. I watch other shows. And Live PD, obviously, they're not going to show footage during their shows, that might be a little bit questionable and this and that, But my point is that, when there's got to be a lot of retraining within where, if officers have someone in handcuffs or have someone pinned to the ground and the person is saying, bro, I can't breathe, bro, my arm hurts, bro, I can't move my leg, bro, I can't do this, that they're not just saying it so you could ease up and then they run away. Maybe they really are hurting. And I used a pillow analogy yesterday. If I took a pillow right now, Mish, you were laying in your bed right now, and I took a pillow and I started smothering you, all right, you're going to do everything possible to try to get that pillow off of your face. All right. My point is that for some reason, cops think that when they have you pinned down to the ground and they have your arm twisted away where it's about to snap in half and you're in unbelievable pain, that they expect you to just let it go. Let it go. You don't resist. Let it go. I know your arm is killing you, that it's about to break in half, but let it go, because that's the only way we're going to stop doing what we're doing. They got to stop that shit. They got to stop that shit. And I don't know how you stop it, because this is 50, 60, 100 years that shit has been going on. And it has gotten better, when you look at the overall picture. But the problem is that there is always going to be that group of people, so maybe 1/2 of cops that act this way, and they get away with it. They play Russian roulette. They pin. You think this is the first time this guy's putting a knee on somebody's neck? He's played Russian roulette for 19 years. Unfortunately, this time the bullet went off and he killed somebody. So I'm hoping all this devastation, although I don't want it, I hope this devastation scares some other cops that are like this guy that have played Russian roulette for their entire career and luckily haven't killed anybody. Maybe takes an extra step back this time and say, if this person says I can't breathe, or this person is really, resisting because of the pain, I got to step off a little bit. The fucking guy was in handcuffs already. That's how I look at it. What is your overall view of what's going on?
Well, I'm actually just watching the devastation in Philly going on right now. I don't know.
It's fucked
My
up.
heart goes to his family. My heart goes to his wife or his girlfriend. My heart goes to all the people that have had to deal with racism and racist cops in their lives. But I don't know. I don't understand the devastation personally. I don't understand why the devastation is going after businesses. They've attacked businesses from white people as well as black people, as well as Latin people, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not even like it's a targeted attack. And I don't understand why the homes of the 4 police officers are still standing. I would have figured that those would have been the first 4 things that are destroyed. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. It's just so much pain, and so much fucking anger, and it's not wrong. Like, so the whole thing with Philly, and this was coming to me from Shah, and Shah is pretty attached to the scene, obviously, in Philadelphia. He's lived here for quite a many years. Apparently, what's happening is the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists are doing a march or a gathering in Philadelphia during the rally. And so that's why all of this is happening right now, because a lot of the devastation is coming from, the white supremacists. And it's just a weird back and forth. And obviously Antifa is there. I don't know, man. I don't know how else to look at this. Like,
yeah. I don't know how you fix the problem. And I made this clear yesterday. I don't follow Trump on social media anymore. I don't follow politics on social media. I turn the TV off a lot now with politics. I have come to the realization, and I've come to this peace, inner peace. And again, for some out there that are still a little bitter, then I moved on to video and changing, shows and branching out and doing other things. But the number one reason why I wanted to do this for years and years and years is because even this conversation we're having right now, it's I wanted to be coming out from the heart and be a little bit more from within, be doing a hotline and doing a podcast and doing audio stuff for 22, 23 years. The audio's funny and there's memorable clips and phrases and conversations and debates and everything. But when you really don't put the reactions, the emotions, the face, everything, put it all together, you come up with a distorted version of what you appear you are hearing. So that's why I always thought this is what, my final chapter would be. But right now, like at my age, and I'm not young anymore, I'm still in crazy pain. I'm trying to, hopefully get married in a year and a half.
The police are assaulting the protesters. Jesus. The police are physically clubbing people now.
Yeah,
So we've gotten to the point of violence already in Philadelphia.
This is like 1968 all over again. And it's not just 68. But the thing is that I have realized with 30 trillion in debt or whatever it is, this COVID and this insane power grab that a lot of states have done in our politicians because of COVID. You look at all of that, you look at, the Russian collusion, and you see the stuff on both sides of the aisle, and you see all this hate. From this point till the day I die, I want to just enjoy my life, enjoy it with her, spend as much time with my family while they're still on this earth, keep my bills in check, do the shows, have fun, talk wrestling, talk baseball, talk whatever. And I don't give a fuck what this country looks like after I'm dead, because there ain't nothing that I'm ever going to be able to do that is going to change this country. I could change my inner circle. I could change the people around me. I can treat friends, family, neighbors, people online, maybe a little thing here and there rubs off on them, something good that they can carry on to someone else. And, that's how I want to live the rest of my life. I can't. It's too much, man. It's too much. It's rough. But, I hopefully, like I said, this devastation sucks, but I think this is I don't consider it a purge, but, look, do I condone police actually clubbing people? Look, if they're, destroying things and they're assaulting cops, what do you do? Do the cops just back off and just let them destroy it? It's gotta get to a point where the Antifa, the white supremacist, racist white people, racist black people, racist it's got to get to a point where all of these people just stop this shit. And I think you only stop it really with fear. There's some people that you could only stop them with fear. That's the only way, because you could be good. It's almost to me, with some racist people, it's like a wild animal. You could get an animal that, looks great, might have just a beautiful thing. Bring the wild animal home. I always think of that poem, The Snake, that Jake the Snake Roberts told 30 years ago, and Trump told it when he ran for office. This snake, was injured, and this woman saw the snake, took the snake in, nursed the snake, fed the snake, healed the snake, did everything to the snake. And, after everything was done and she got the snake back to health, the snake bit her and killed her. And she's like, how could you do that to me after everything? Because I'm a fucking snake. There's some people out there that will be snakes. And they have total disregard, man. Total disregard. Dayhawk says it's happening in Hong Kong right now. And
the Hong Kong ones are different, though. It's not based upon what we're dealing with here. Hong Kong has a litany of fucking problems over there too.
Yeah. The COVID is going to be the next uproar, because what's happening now in my neighborhood, just so everybody knows, I kind of told this story 2 weeks ago, but it's gotten much bigger since then. 2 weeks ago, clothing store that's in my shopping center. She's not allowed to open, and she's about to shut her business down permanently. So her and a couple of her friends started sewing mask after mask after mask after mask. And she opened up her business one day, and all she had was a table outside with masks, selling them. Somebody called the cops on her. This clothing store is not supposed to be open. Cops came, and one of the cops went up to her, and she's like, please, I need to get some type of money in here. I can't stay closed down. I haven't gotten any loans or anything. One of the cops did? He bought a fucking mask. He bought a mask. And he just told her, he's like, just keep it discreet. So what's happening now is our area is supposed to open June 8th, but they're only doing step one, where you can only do curbside and you can only be 25% this and that. Everybody's already saying in this neighborhood, fuck you, de Blasio, fuck you, Cuomo. All right, we're wearing masks. We're keeping distance from people. You ain't fucking keeping this power on us anymore. And that's going to happen in Michigan. That's going to happen all across the United States. All of these states that are doing baby steps as far as reopening, and the government is not giving. I swear on God, Mish, I will send you the screenshots after. I'll even call her in here. I had a conversation with somebody that I know that works for New York State a couple of days ago. And I said, what's going on with the unemployment stuff? And, this person's telling me, it's actually, we're almost up to date. And I'm like, well, my fiance applied in March, got nothing. Applied for pandemic in March, got nothing. And you go on the website, it says call this phone number. You call the phone number, it says go on this website. There's nobody to talk to. If you do a Twitter search and you type in PUA and New York, look at the garbage that comes up. So the person says to me, do me a favor, send me all of her private information. And I sent the private information 2 days ago, and somebody from the Department of Labor sent me a private message on Twitter and said, we're going to call your fiance and take care of this early next week. So, there is good coming out of it, but the point is that there are so many people that got completely fucked from our government with this COVID for the last 3 months that people are just at their breaking point. I guarantee you. And I'm not making any excuse, but I think you'll agree with me, and I think everybody else out there will agree with me, that some of these people destroying right now are destroying because of COVID. They've been locked up.
Oh, I think some people are just destroying because they're using, unfortunately. Somebody came up with a great term for it, but I wish I could fucking remember it. But there are absolutely people that are just taking advantage of this situation and destroying things and looting just for their own benefit. I'm not saying that everybody's like that, of course not. But there are absolutely a contingent of fucking assholes out there that are using this in order to make their own lives better.
Absolutely.
As opposed to understanding what the actual fucking problem going on is.
But I hope you understand that people in Philly right now doing what they're doing, they don't live in Philly.
They've shut down, what they're not telling you on the news is apparently all the exits and going into Philly have now officially all been shut down. The city itself is physically being locked down as we speak.
Aren't you still in a lockdown for COVID?
Huh?
Aren't you still in a
Not
lockdown for COVID?
Yeah, everybody's still locked down. Like the businesses are locked down, but now they physically put gates up by the exits of Philadelphia. You cannot leave Philadelphia.
That's smart.
If you're in Philadelphia, you're stuck in Philadelphia unless you walk out of it.
But that's smart. If it was still with COVID, you
right,
should be home anyway.
The reality is that the rally was supposed to be at midnight. And it started early because of, I guess, different circumstances, or it started at, I'm not sure if it was supposed to start at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. The message I got was 12 a.m., but it may have started at noon, which makes more sense. So now at 6 o'clock, or by 6 o'clock, they've shut down all the exits. So,
yeah. Well,
and I'm looking at this devastation, and this is going to be Minneapolis. This is going to be as bad as Minneapolis.
It's rough.
Yeah,
man. It's rough.
A lot of shit. And I didn't realize that there was such a large contingent of white supremacy in New Jersey and Philadelphia. I didn't realize, because living in Chicago a majority of my life, I couldn't even fathom white fascists and white supremacists walking down the streets of fucking Clark and Addison, with fucking Nazi flags. I just couldn't imagine that. But apparently around here, there's a large enough contingent that they felt that they could show up at this rally and disturb things.
Yeah. Instigate.
I can't even understand the mentality behind that. So that's where a lot of this reaction is coming from, because the police are now being violent. You have Antifa out there that's being violent. You have skinheads out there escalating the situation. And then you have the actual anger and outrage and frustration and pain that people feel because of the whole George Floyd situation.
Yeah. And then, like I said,
It's gonna
you
be
add in COVID. You added COVID, and people already are their businesses.
COVID is kind of like that. COVID is like having a fucking a nail in your toe. It's not important enough right now to ignore the gunshot in your side, but
Well,
it's still a nail in your toe. You know what I
Put it
mean?
this way. I know, look, no one's ever going to make me feel guilty because my father owns a lot of property. My father never graduated high school. My father never got inheritance. My father worked 3 jobs for 20 years to make whatever money he can, and he saved it and he invested it, and he bought a lot of property in the 70s and the 80s, and that's how he ended up making money. He bought a lot of property in Howard Beach.
Right.
And you add up all the rents for the properties that he owns in my neighborhood, he gets about $22,000 a month in rent. He's got about probably 19 to 20,000 a month in mortgage payment. So he does end up ahead. But he has told me the other day, he's like, Anthony, I need to ask your opinion. And it blew me away because I expect him to say hey, you like this shirt or you like this shirt? He comes to me and he says, I need your opinion about something. I said, sure. He says, I have all these businesses that owe me now about $60,000 in rent. And some of them, because they use the same lawyer, they want to offer that they'll give him 60% of what they owe now if he waives the rest of it. Or does he take less now and stretch whatever they owe him still over the next 12 months? And I was just totally blown away from it. And I told him, I said, get whatever you can now. And he's like, why? I said, because the mortgage company isn't going to knock off thousands of dollars in money that you owe them. I said, if these people stretch out for the next 12 months, $20, $40, $60,000, you know what I mean? And then they go out of business, all you're going to have is that tiny little bit that they gave you. Get whatever you fucking can right now. Get whatever you can right now. And, I don't know if he's taking that advice, but, there's a lot of businesses that are tens of thousands of dollars in debt right now because of all the business lost. My father's store, it's not in danger of closing, but even though it's been crazy busy and it's never closed. It's funny? I wanted to share this with you. I guess we could kind of maybe change the mood a little bit. My fiance is really, really paranoid with this COVID. We walk in the house, she sprays the bottom of her shoes with Lysol. Yeah. She mops the floor, right after we come in. She'll take her mask and spray it and spray it and spray it. And I keep telling her, even though it dries, you can't breathe in those chemicals. It's not meant for that. I told her, I'll buy you a box of 200 masks. Stop spraying the masks. So anyway, she's obsessed with Lysol. She goes through one full can every week and a half. So you can't get Lysol anywhere. Lysol is now the new crack. So yesterday, I'm in my father's store, and my brother was there. I'm like, Nick, you what?
If you need Lysol, let me know. We got Lysol around here. We got Lysol at our dollar stores around here.
Really? I'll tell you. Yes. Maybe I'll look into it. But I said to my brother yesterday, I'm like, look, you got any? I know it's a stupid question, Nikki, but you have any Lysol? He's like,
you just can't get the wipes.
Oh, no. Well,
That's
I have tons of wipes. In fact, maybe I'll trade you. I'll trade you wipes. I got crazy amounts of wipes, but
we
the spray.
Get the wipes out here. Yeah, we got the spray. We got the spray and we got the liquid bottles too.
All right, maybe we'll make a little trade. But the funny thing is when I told my brother, I'm like, you got any Lysol? He's like, come with me. He brings me to the back room where they have all the cases of grocery, and he takes out this box, 12 cans in there. He's like, take one. Nice. He's like, but do me a favor. He's like, he puts it in his bread bag, and he says, when you go to the register, just tell the cashier that you have a bottle of spray. Don't say Lysol. Don't show it to the people, because if the customers in the store find out that I got fucking Lysol, they'll go paranoid. So I felt like I was buying drugs. I was walking around with this paper thing, and I'm like, I can't reveal what's in my bag, and all it was freaking Lysol. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Toilet paper, no problem. Wipes, no problem.
Yeah, toilet paper. We have everything around here on the outside of Philly. No wipes. Masks are now coming back in full force. There's different kinds of hand sanitizer. I've got the pure liquid hand sanitizer. The jelly stuff, the actual the mix, we don't have, but we do have hand sanitizer. What else do we have? Obviously, we've got Lysol. We've got towels too, which I know people are running out of paper towels there for a minute as well. Food has finally come back.
Yeah.
So now I can actually. I had some pork sausage today.
Nice.
And I was very happy to have it. I haven't had pork sausage in months. Regular sausage has been around, but ground beef is starting to come back. Yes. Chicken is starting to come back. Like you can go to regular stores now and find it. So it's not just the processed shit anymore. Now you can actually get fucking real meat, which is good. And vegetables are still doing really well. I heard that there was places that were completely short on vegetables. I don't think we suffered that out here. I don't remember a time where I couldn't get, bell peppers and onions and mushrooms and stuff like that. So for the most part, we're doing okay.
Good.
Masks are still crazy priced.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 masks they have, or not even 100 masks. I think it's like 20 masks for like $20.
Yeah, they're
That's
like almost $1 a mask.
Which is when you think about just the prices from 2019.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing. I was trying to research what the prices were of these things before COVID hit.
It was like 100 for fucking $15.
Yeah.
The people who had masks left over probably made a fucking killing.
Yeah.
Killing.
Yeah.
Because me and you were even joking back when this first really hit at some of the crazy things that Amazon and eBay prices were.
Yeah. Look, Mike, Your Best Bargains. I don't know if he's live right now, but he'll tell people. People are trying to get hand sanitizer, and Clorox has their own liquid version, and it's beautiful. I mean, I have it inside. I'm not going to get it now, but it's really, really, it's about this big. And when you spray it, it's like a nice stride, and you wipe and everything. Yeah. And, Amazon kept selling out. This is before Amazon restricted it all for hospitals. And, a few people online were asking me, like, how do you get your stuff from Amazon? So I was giving Mike some pointers, giving a few people some pointers. And he did exactly what I told him to do. And he was able to buy one on Amazon for like $10. That same container was being sold on eBay for $130 to $150 per bottle. And that wasn't even just people asking for that price. Some people would just put it up with a starting bid of $15. And people were so desperate to want it, they're like, I'll give you $100 for it. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. But the masks, I have KN95s. They're not, like the real K95s or N95s. They're KN95s. There's no filter or anything in it, but it's comfortable. It's got a cotton inside. And what I do is I wear it, and then at the end of the day, I'll spray a little of that Clorox, or I'll just leave it on the hood, on the dash in my car, and let the sunlight just beam down on it. And I reuse it for about a week, and I toss it in the garbage. I also try to keep my breath from smelling because
I'm using a reusable mask. It was nice. Tink actually sent me a Colts mask, which was
nice.
Which was kind of neat. And I'm still using one of the original masks that I have, which was just handmade for me, but it's out of a real thick fiber. Because the reality is, until we can get those N95 masks, these paper masks, these homemade masks, are just going to have to work.
Yeah.
Because at this point, there's no way that, unless you have an N95 mask, that you're 100% safe from this virus.
Right.
And even if you do have the N95 mask, you can still be infected by just simply not washing your hands.
Sure.
Touching an infected surface with an open wound or whatever else like that. So there's still a lot of factors, but the best thing that people are doing right now is wearing those masks. And even though the numbers are still going up, they've kind of plateaued a little bit. The numbers aren't surging as hard as they used to be. So I don't know if that's because most people have now taken those tests, or what's actually changed about it. But
Yeah. I'm going to be really curious to see from these riots. Just think about that for a minute. You got these places, these people burning post offices, stores, buildings, precincts, medical centers, and just realize that some of these people that are torching medical centers may actually need to use that medical center because they may catch COVID during these riots. Because I'm curious to see 2 weeks from now what the COVID numbers look like. Very curious. The one thing, though, is because almost everybody out there is very young, even if they do catch COVID, they probably won't have like massive issues with it. The problem is that they can give it to older people.
right.
And
Well,
the
that's always
ongoing-
been the problem. That's not new.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with that since day one. That the elderly are the most prone to this, and then obviously those that are immunocompromised are the second most, available. So.
Yeah. Rob Taker, I can't use Tic Tacs and Mentos. I don't have anything with sugar, but I do have some sugar-free gum.
Sugar-free Tic Tacs.
Yeah, but
You know what?
I have this gum that's made with xylitol. That's like an artificial sweetener that doesn't spike your blood sugar. They're actually pretty good. I get them on Amazon, so there's other forms there. But luckily, my masks have not stunk much. But I will honestly say, one time, I remember walking. Oh yeah,
After you eat, they're the worst. But I mean, what are you going to do? You have to wear them, So
a week ago, I was walking to my car, and I get in the car. I put the mask on. About halfway to my office, I took the mask off. I'm like, what is that smell? I know I've smelt it before. It wasn't gas. I'm like, I know I smelled this before. And then it hit me out of nowhere. I remembered when I was a kid, I went upstate New York on this farm, and they had horses and everything. And I remember I went horseback riding. And I realized that the inside of my mask smelled exactly like a horse. That's how bad it smelled, and I threw the shit away.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Dayhawk. So I don't think anybody comparing us to the Boston Tea Party is accurate. And as far as it being a civil war, I wouldn't call it a civil war. Because everybody that's doing destruction, a majority of them do not like this country. They want to destroy this country. Antifa, white supremacists, they want to destroy this country. They want to destroy peaceful relations with other races and genders, sexual orientations. So they're out to destruct. For those people, unfortunately, scaring them straight is probably, or getting in jail is probably the only way that is going to change any of them, because peaceful protests, when you're a racist bigot, Antifa, peaceful doesn't do anything. It doesn't change your ways. It does. So luckily, that is such a small percentage of the overall country that the good people on both sides, Republican, Democrat, black, white, everybody is going to come together, almost like they do when we have like a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake. You see everybody putting aside everything and just trying to help people. That is what you will see. We've had for the last couple of months, the first responders are heroes, and they are. But now those same blue check marks and celebrities and athletes and causes, now they need to rally behind all of these businesses, all of these people who have been affected because of these riots. And, in the process, though, hopefully, again, the next cop, the next person that does pin somebody down, especially somebody of color, that they may actually just start having a flashback of Minnesota and be like, This person, I'm not fucking taking a chance of this person dying on my watch. You know,
Right.
when people abuse people, you saw that video of that 21 or 22-year-old beating up that old lady in a nursing home. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that one.
Somebody
Sounds miserable.
let me tell you this. Of all the videos that you have seen over the last week, you watch this one, it probably would be in the top 2 or 3 of that will anger you more than anything else.
Was this related to George Floyd?
Was it what? No.
Was this related?
Oh, no. Someone in the chat that's live right now, if you remember or if you're aware of this and you have a link, post it. We don't have to watch it now, but post it so we could go back to it later. It's a guy about 22 years old. It ends up that he was sent to a nursing home because he had COVID. Black, a little bit on the heavy side, and he's got this. I didn't even realize it was a lady. I thought it was a guy. The woman must be in her 70s or maybe early 80s, and she's just laying there, and he's just over her like this. And you actually hear this to her face. And the worst part about he's in jail now. But the worst part about it is when you actually research the story with the nursing home, apparently he's done this multiple times to people. He streamed it on social media for everybody to watch and enjoy. And the nursing home is kind of like dodging, like we're investigating this and that, is one of the most disturbing things. Yeah, no. Cassette Classic says that the father said he's got mental issues. I'll be honest with you, Cassette. I don't know what the truth is or what isn't. But if you do that to an elderly person, you have mental issues. You know what I mean? Right. Whether it's been clinically proven or not, you do that to another human being, especially someone who is helpless, that can't even call out for help, you have mental issues. I think a lot of people now, because of cyberbullying, because of mental health, because of everything that's brought to the surface, I think some people use that as an excuse, not as justification, but they'll immediately go to the mental health reason. We had that punk in Connecticut that killed a couple of people that just got arrested right away. Oh, he's got mental health issues. Right. It's I think it is very quick now for people. This guy's been streaming on social media publicly.
Yeah.
What he's been doing. Where the fuck is the father during all this time?
Don't know, man.
You know what I mean? Until he got arrested. Now all of a sudden it's terrible. But anyway, Dayhawk also said that in California things are slowly opening up, but fear still lingers with people who are unsure to go back to work until a vaccine is made. Dayhawk is one of those people who prefers to wait because he doesn't want to get himself sick and, more importantly, his parents sick. They are old and he feels very conflicted. What would I do? Well, as I've said before, unfortunately, you will never get 100% of this country in California to get vaccinated. So, you're always going to be around people that may not be vaccinated. Sure, when the vaccination comes out, you get it, your parents get it, then you really don't have to worry about giving it to each other. Until then, my only advice would be is that if you don't live with your parents and you're not around them every day, do what I have done the last 3 weeks. All right? The last 2 weeks, I've gone and gotten the COVID test done. I paid $119. It is a big amount of coin to pay. I could go through a doctor and get the test for free, but when I pay, the lab directly, I walk in, I get the test a day and a half later, I'm clear. So my plan now is to go see my parents every Tuesday. I stay over there. Kev does his show, so I don't have to do any work on Tuesdays. And then what I do is either on that Friday or the Monday, the day before, I get the test done. And in 24 hours, I get my result, and I'm clear. Then I go see my family. And I do that. And when I'm around people, I make sure I keep the mask on. I make sure that, I don't, rub my face or my eyes. I wash my hands. And I just be very careful. And that would be my advice to do. I've been working, in my office. I try to work from home as much as possible now. But unfortunately, sometimes you can't. People need to bring in payments. They only have cash. I have to go to my office. But, you got to just take precautions. My fiance's parents are still in Ecuador. And, we can't even think about
I don't know about Ecuador. It's Ecuador.
She says there's some areas in Ecuador that are really bad. But the area that her parents are in is pretty good right now, and everybody's being very careful. I find it interesting that I personally think New York is safer than Ecuador if you actually look at the numbers. But, her brother got COVID about a month and a half ago. So she's just petrified of her parents coming back right now. So, but everybody seems to be fine. My father, he's been distancing. He goes to Costco and goes to places, but, he's got the N95 mask because...
Oh, does he?
Yeah, because he's been doing work on the house next door for over a year. So he had boxes of N95 masks because they use it in construction anyway. So luckily he's got a nice stash of N95s. And I joked with him, I'm like, Dad, we could put these on on eBay and make a killing.
Right.
And he's like, nah. Huh?
I said, yeah, you could.
Yeah, no, he wants to keep them and use them. He doesn't want to sell them. He offered me them, and I told him, I'm like, no, I'm good. The KN95 is good enough for me. So, shout out to Jason Lynn. If I'm truly thinking about doing a mental health episode someday, would love to be in the chat for answers if needed. Look, I know a lot of you on Patreon have been battling issues with mental health. You know who you are. I private message a lot of you. We talk through Twitter, through Patreon, and we keep most of those conversations off the shows for obvious reasons. But, I give you nothing but love.
It's difficult. I mean, because you're not a trained professional. I'm not a trained professional. Joe, Kevin are not trained professionals. So, I mean, talking about mental health is an issue, only because we don't want to give you the wrong information either.
No.
I mean, there's been definitely enough people that have hit me up personally, and given me a lot of love and given Joey a lot of love and stuff like that and said, hey, if it wasn't for listening to you guys, I would have been fucking, I would have gone crazy by now.
Lucky 13. I remember that night. Powerful.
Right. And I mean, that stuff means a lot. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, I'm glad people enjoy our discourse and stuff like that. But the reality is we're not professionals. And if you're sad or if you're dealing with issues, I mean, the only advice...
personal experiences. I don't think anybody here is asking us to give a clinical diagnosis. But like when I talked about my when I got my marriage annulled and I went to a psychiatrist and I started, explaining, and you and I have talked about it as well. I started explaining like how I started getting myself out of that rut. And that one day that, I just looked over in my bed and realized, why am I only sleeping on one side of the bed? The whole bed is mine. And as ridiculously stupid as that sounds, it felt like a fog lift over my head. And I realized, why am I depriving myself? Still, this person is not in my life anymore. And that was, it might have been, more of just like a symbol, but it really opened me up to just learning from that. And, I think I think people sometimes are more comfortable just talking in regular lingo to friends than to sit down with a psychologist and have a psychologist. They may
do
not
you
be
sit
able
there
to
and
relate.
hear people talking at you, or would you rather have discourse with them? I mean, that's the reality of it. That's why I think that our shows always seem to do so well, because you're not having somebody talking at you. Here's shows where two people or more are having discourse and they're talking about a scenario. And meanwhile, people listening in the chat or even listening at home can immediately see themselves in the conversation. They can agree with who they agree with.
Absolutely.
They can disagree with who they disagree with. And I think that all of us are capable of holding our own ends and to our own beliefs, for better or worse sometimes, but still, nonetheless, having opposing viewpoints isn't necessarily something that takes you out of the conversation. Sometimes it actually wraps you up further in it, so.
I've been shouting out someone quite a bit lately. I've been on his Twitch a few times in the last 2 weeks. You met him with me at the big event, AJ Moore,
Yes.
the artist. And
I talked about him a couple days ago too. I like AJ Moore.
he's
got
an
some good
awesome
art.
guy, man. Awesome guy. I mean,
I need to open up some dialogue with the guy though. He's not. Yeah.
go Twitch. He does the drawing, the artwork. I was there when he did the Shad Gaspard portrait. Amazing. But, it's weird how sometimes, and this works exactly about the mental health. It's weird how sometimes you just share experiences. And I've been doing that going back to my hotline since 97. I always will mix in personal experiences. Luckily, about 90% of everybody who tunes in knows that just trying to, entertain, but also, make it real, like for all of us, and sharing stories and, relating to things. Some people will try to twist and say, oh, it's always got to be about you. And that's not what it is. But it's weird sometimes you share stories and it sticks with people. And when AJ was doing the drawing, the portrait for Shad Gaspard, which I showed everybody, he's doing it. And he's talking about Shad Gaspard. This is deep. He's talking about Shad Gaspard, hero, how he gave his life up for his son. And out of nowhere, because, his artwork is therapeutic for him. A lot of these shows are therapeutic for me. I can't tell people how much I appreciate when the shows are therapeutic for them. But he starts, from Shad Gaspard, starts talking about his own father. And he's telling all of us how his father was a piece of shit, never was in his life, didn't care to be in his life, and he doesn't really, know what it's like to, have a father like that. And then, which was deep enough, then he immediately says how powerful it was when I told the story of when my parents, we were at a wedding, and my parents were they did a dance, and I had never seen it before. And what they do is they say, okay, everybody who's been married 5 years, sit down. 10 years, sit down. 15 years, sit down. And as the numbers start going down or up, however you look at it, my parents are still on the dance floor. And it hit me how long that they're together. And every time I tell a story, I choke up. I talked about it last Friday, and I started literally about to cry in tears on the show. And I didn't even play the video. And here's this guy that I only met in person once, talked to him a little online here and there, but he said, I would not believe how much that story affected him. And that just blew me away. I have the video. I have it in my computer right now.
It's such a rare thing to even know that there are relationships for people that have had them more than 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you always hear about the dark side of marriage and divorce and everything else like that. It's nice to know that there are still couples that make it, that actually fucking make it. It's a fairy tale at this point. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah. I'd love to share it to everyone out there. I put it in the system because I know AJ has always wanted to see it. And I know there's a lot of people out there who really wanted to see it. But the one thing is like the other day I put it in this computer and I was adjusting the size of the box. So when I play it, whenever I decide to, it's the right size and everything. And it played for about 10 seconds, and I was bawling. And I realized that if I ever play it for everyone, I either got to hit play and walk out of the fucking room, or you will see me just lose it on the show. It's, for some reason, it's, like when I was younger, as weird as this sounds, some people are going to find it really fucking weird. But I don't know if there's ever been like a singer or a performer that you will hear on the radio and you just start crying.
Right.
And, there's an artist that was from the 70s that died very young. And it was weird because when my grandmother died, that song was like the first song that was on the radio, like in my mom's house, like when I first got home. And then when my father's mom died, my other grandmother, that song was playing, like the song played 3 times in 3 different tragedies. And the woman that died was also a tragedy. So every time since then, if Karen Carpenter song comes on, I have to change the channel. I have to turn the volume off. Because I play 70s in my office for people because they seem to love that channel. Any of her music comes on, even if there's a customer, I'll make an excuse. I'm like, look, I have to lower the radio. I have to make a phone call, but I just can't listen to music because I immediately think of tragedy, and I just get very out of it. But like I said, I love the fact that, we can have some real conversation, and it does help people. And, at the end of the day, we all got to be strong. Because, we could sit there and just let everything consume us and just be miserable. Or you just say, look, what's going on with COVID, not having funds right now, no relationship or an illness or whatever it is, getting upset, getting angry, getting depressed, getting any emotion you want is not going to change the situation. So that's why on my profile on Twitter, I added about a month ago, always trying to turn life's chicken shit into chicken salad,
Right.
So, but I'm glad we can help everybody out there. We're never going to try to pretend that we're psychologists, but maybe there's an experience. That's why I thought, I had to give you so much praise for the Hana Kimura conversation. Because, let's be honest, 95% of our patrons, regular listeners, friends we talk to online, 95 to 98% of them are not Hafu.
Right.
But it's still powerful to understand how a certain culture can look at another, group of people in such, like a terrible way, and to live with that stigma. Some people, they can rise above it. Some people, you constantly just put down, and, you try your hardest, to keep it together, but then it just comes everywhere. That's why I felt bad for JD the other day. I felt bad for him. Sure, maybe some of the things he does, he makes his own bed. I make my own bed. I have to sometimes sleep in it, and it's not fun. But the thing is that even when Alexa Bliss accepted his apology, you got all the trolls. Come in here. You know for a fact that people now are going through all of his old shows, trying to find the blockbuster. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. Because people just find enjoyment in that. So, that's why if we could be a little positive for people out there, sure. The conversation we had today, I heard, you getting choked up quite a bit before, because who wants to see, not only their country, but their town, the state that they live in, their neighborhood, going to pieces, and you just feel helpless. Nothing you could do about it. But, at the end of the day, hopefully this is therapeutic for you, for me, for everybody tuning in. Your Frank and Gus, I'm not going to lie. I can't, at least 3 or 4 times I've come this close of doing my own version of Frank and Gus every day. But I don't want to step on.
It's always fun to just break outside of the box and not do the same shit, man.
Yeah, sure.
On Frank and Gus, I'd say 7 out of 10 topics aren't wrestling.
Right. I see people talking about the music and albums and stuff. It's wonderful, but that's special. And of course, it's a product of COVID and everything that's going on. But that's a wonderful thing. And there was no way I was gonna try to compete with that, or even So that's awesome. But want to get in some questions?
Yeah, let's hit them up, man.
Yeah. Murrell, I got your shirt on order, and there was 1 or 2 other people that I have shirts on order as well. One is an Andre the Giant. I'm drawing a blank right now, but just keep in mind that these shirt stores are a little bit slow with their orders because of COVID. That's why I was so shocked to get my Shad Gaspard shirt yesterday. Last night I wore the Shad Gaspard tribute shirt, the one that was on sale for collar and elbow. When I got I didn't expect it to have it for like 2 more weeks, and that came early. But, Pro Wrestling Tees is so inundated with orders right now, and they don't have full staff and everything. So, shirts may take a week or 2 to get, but you guys will get them. But Murrell also says 2 bumps that he's always wondered if they were real or not. Real or not, Mish? The first one, Macho Man crushing Ricky Steamboat's larynx. If you watch it back, his face legit looked so purple that he was gasping for breath. How could that have been faked? And second, the Macho Man into Liz on Main Event. I guess when he bumped into Miss Elizabeth. So,
right.
You like to answer
I
that
thought
one?
that the Steamboat one was just him squeezing his face.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all I thought it was. I mean, he did a good job. People cared about their craft a lot more back then, and he probably almost gave himself a brain aneurysm.
Yeah.
But I always thought he did it himself.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it's long.
I'll always remember from that storyline?
Sad.
The spot, of course, but I'll always remember he did an interview, and he started talking, and he was like, so I'm going to have some, like he just started, like he couldn't get the words out. He did a wonderful job. And look, Murrell knows that you ask that question in public, you probably get a whole bunch of people trying to be dicks. Like, are you kidding me? Of course that was. But when you, even after all of these years, are unsure, that's when you know somebody did an absolutely phenomenal job. So that was all. And as far as Miss Elizabeth, the bump, she took it. She took it well. I think the reason why people were so taken back from Miss Elizabeth getting knocked out from that bump is, if you remember when she was laid out on the floor, what I always remember from that spot is her shoulder blades, because she was so thin, and you saw her shoulder blades, like you felt like you wanted to say, eat a fucking ham sandwich once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, she looked so.
In the 80s, that was that heroin chic day, man. A lot of those girls, very skinny.
Yeah. Hell, the picture. I mean, look, of course, my mom, she got older, she had health issues, and she couldn't, really move around like she used to. And when you, are forced to be in bed a lot and not being able to do things, you start putting on a little bit of weight. Unfortunately, I thought I had to, well, you know what, I could show this one, but, this is my mom from the 80s. That's her on the left. That's my mom in the 80s. That's me all the way on the right. And if anybody goes on my Twitter and you look at the picture that I have pinned of me, well, no, I don't have it pinned anymore, but me kissing my mom, right before she went in for a heart surgery, she's about, I don't know, 70 pounds heavier. It's just,
Right.
over time. But I agree with you. In the 80s, like everybody, that was the obsession. Not just
Skinny
be skinny, to be sickly
yeah.
skinny. Yeah.
Well, that was the big thing too. Well, that was all your Farrah Fawcett's and stuff like that. They'd put on those, what was it, the Levi's and the Jordache jeans and stuff that were so tight that they needed a
Sergio
pair of
Valentes.
in order to get the zipper up. Like that was the thing back then. Yeah.
It really was. Well, even the way they made the jeans, like the way that they cut them, yeah, you had the bell bottoms, but when you looked around the hip of the ass, like you would be like this to just get the zipper up.
Right.
And then
right.
it was amazing because I even remember, I don't remember who it was, but I remember some female that I knew in the 80s. And I remember for some reason her zipping her pants up. And she had such a hard time to zip them up. But once she zipped them up, like her area from the bottom of the zipper to the top, it looked like a washboard. I'm like, how the fuck is that so flat? Like after she had such a hard time, but that's the way.
Oh,
they
that was
made
another thing too. Big butts were not in.
No.
In the 80s, if you had a big butt, you were fat.
What is going on with the big butts on social media? Are these are women? I haven't never looked it up, but are women legitimately getting like shots in their asses to make them bigger?
Oh yeah, there's butt implants and yeah, absolutely. There's surgical implants. There's also like Botox injections for your butt. Especially now with the older ladies, they don't want to get that like cabbage butt or that cauliflower butt where it has like the bump on it. So now they get it. They get it. They give their ass a facelift.
Look, I'm not going to blow up anybody's names, but the guy's a patron. I follow about 200 people on Twitter. I don't want anybody to take this as an insult, but I have about 90% of them on mute. Only because I don't want to get into, back and forth as far as comments. I disagree with a hell of a lot of stuff that Joey Number says, John Draper says, others.
I know.
And I have found myself up to last year that when I see comment, I have to give my 2 cents on it. And then it comes off as confrontational. So I have decided, I started it last.
But you know what, though? Before you get too far with that, I've always wondered why you guys didn't take that to the air.
Joey and I are going to take it to the air. Joey and I are going to do a political one. Once things get a little bit back to normal and we get closer to election, we're going to have a nice little political debate, whatever topics people ask us to talk about. But the thing is that on Twitter's dangerous because you can only type 320 characters.
Well, that's why I'm saying take it to the air.
Right.
So
that's why I always prefer air.
Right.
But I prefer to mute almost everybody because if I never see the comments, then if I express a view on something, then I know the view was not, it's always 100% me. But it wasn't enhanced or skewed because of what someone else said. That's why, people in the past, shot at Kev, shot at this person. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, well, he said exactly what you're complaining about. And I say I have no idea. And I'm not going to censor myself.
I honestly didn't know that you muted people.
Oh, I have 90. Honestly, I'm not going to lie right now. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Right.
But if I go on my Twitter right now, I actually could go on my wall right now and I could read you the people that I could see. I mean, obviously it's not a complete list because we're doing a show right now. But I'll tell you right now, because look, I don't do it because I hate anybody. I do it because I don't want to, find myself, I read this, it really pisses me off or triggers me, so I got to write my version of it. And then so right now I follow on Twitter 222 people. And on my wall right now, the people that I can see that are not muted is this guy called Unconfined. He's a rap star. and he's always putting like one-liners like healing is becoming the best version of yourself. Like he writes these things like, don't be a go-to person who isn't a go-to for you, or like he does things every day. So I follow him. Right now on my unmute list is Enzo Amore. This guy Carmine Sabia, which I'm probably going to mute because he's just constantly talking about the riots, and it's just too much. Vince Russo, going down the list. Courtney, who is on here. Shezi Ali, Mario and Chaos Show, Drake Maverick, Greg Gutfeld, Scott Baio, believe it or not. You, because I see you liked some tweet that Mish wrote. Let's see. These are. That's pretty much it.
It's kind of funny when you bring up Mish because we actually have a lot of disagreements. Like I disagree with a lot of things that Mish has said, and I've told him this in private before, and I'm like, but I still think that you're a funny guy. I'm still entertained by your shows, but there's a lot of people that I disagree with, DT. I
do
don't
too,
think
but
I want to wall myself off and put myself in a situation where I'm just getting an echo chamber. I have no problem. I'm not as big of a debater as you and Joe and John happen to be. Like you guys are much better at the debate aspect when it comes to like, your own viewpoints versus somebody else's. But I welcome, anybody's disagreements with me, and I always have, as long as it's structured in not a go fuck yourself kind of way,
Sure.
Yeah.
But somebody's asking me right now, a little PM. The number one reason why I muted my co-host on Monday, Kevin, is because, there was a couple of things last year that he wrote, and people wanted my take on it. And I remember one time in particular, they did not tell me that they wanted my opinion on whatever topic it was. I don't remember what it was last year. But I gave my opinion, and my opinion was complete opposite of his. And it's not like somebody said to me, oh, Kev just said this about this person. What do you think? No, they just said to me, oh, what do you think about this person? The Brody Lee is a perfect example of it. This is even better. Okay. Somebody had said to me late last year, what do you think of Luke Harper going to AEW? And I said, I like the idea, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And somebody had made a remark about how, you know anybody that ever bought a Luke Harper shirt, and I was like, are you kidding me? And I took a picture, and I posted a picture of the shirt I have. Not realizing that apparently Kevin made a remark that I've never seen anybody buy a Luke Harper shirt. Right. And then I realized that, some people are now doing it. So the thing is that there was a couple of things last year that he had made comments on that I gave my views on, and they were complete opposite, and it started butting heads. And when it started butting heads...
Okay. Huh? That's what people... Dude, that's okay.
Oh, sure, yeah. No, it's mostly instigators. But the thing is that when we started butting heads, and I talked about it on the show, that's when he said, oh, no, that was a ha-ha. I was just joking around. Then I said, okay, so then I don't want to get into confrontations when someone is just joking around,
Fair
So
enough.
That's why I said, you know what? Some people instigate. Some people just want to see friction. I'd rather just, if I don't see it, then I don't get the urge, because I do get urges to make comments about certain things. People talk about real life, politics, race.
There's nothing wrong with that, though. You can't, DT, one of the things I got to say is you can't live in the worry. And I know you're not worried, but I mean, you can't, I'm trying to think of the better word for it. You can't live in the shadow of what somebody else wants you to live in. If you have a disagreement with somebody else, air the disagreement. That's what our shows are.
Right. That's why I muted John Draper. Earlier this year, I had was on a Facebook page talking about when COVID first started. I was on his Facebook page, and they were talking.
You definitely had some.
Well, this is the thing.
Disagree your comments when COVID first started.
Well, this is the thing. When COVID first started, I was on a New York Facebook group, because I'm on a few of them for towns I've lived in and where I live now and other things. And I remember these two people insisting that they should have the right for New York unemployment. One of them never worked on the books, and one of them always did landscaping and never paid taxes well. There was one woman in particular, some may remember the story, there was one woman in particular who was a cashier for a grocery store. And she always had her boss pay her cash because she wanted more money in her pocket, so she never had taxes taken out. He paid her off the books. People call it off the books. Now, because she wanted unemployment, she was talking about, if she can report her boss for never deducting taxes, because now she's not entitled to unemployment because she never paid into unemployment. She has no income on the books. And I just thought that was fucked up. So I went on Twitter, and I don't remember the tweet that I wrote, but I was like, the nerve of some people who, never pay tax, never do this, and yet they want everything given to them. And let's be honest, looking back on it, for some reason, he thought I was taking a shot at his brother. Even though I wrote AOC and Bernie, because I remember writing AOC and Bernie supporters this, but for some reason, he still, and then we got into this little thing back and forth, and I'm saying to myself, why is this guy coming at me? I know he's a Bernie supporter, but it doesn't have nothing to do with his brother. I thought once I said AOC and Bernie supporter that, that would be enough. But there was two things that he said. The first thing he said is, and you know what I'm about to say, he said, I've been waiting a long time for this. And I'm saying to myself, waiting a long time for what? And I was like, nah, man, at my age, fucking pushing 50, I'm not going for that. And then he said, well, you got to understand. And he was being nice about it after. He's like, you got to understand, a lot of your tweets are ambiguous. As broad as my vocabulary is, I never really ever looked to see what the definition of ambiguous was. So I was in my bedroom, and I'm like, Alexa, what's the definition of ambiguous? And it said the definition, and I'm like, okay. So now I got to put public disclaimers, or I got to check with everybody else before I post a comment because it may be interpreted different ways. And I was like, man, I just mute everybody. Because if I don't see it, I don't want trouble. I don't like confrontation like that.
I understand. Well, you used to.
I like friendly debate. I like winning debates. I love trouncing people in debates, but I don't like confrontation no more. I don't like it no more.
Well, you don't always win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the factor of every debate. You don't always win. And the best thing that can happen through a debate is that you voice your side as intelligently as you possibly can.
You have a mutual respect for each other, even if you disagree. I just...
No, that's how it works. There will be times that I will get into a debate. We'll even say with John or whomever, and I'll actually get heated. But the thing is that at the end of it, I can brush that off. Yeah. I've gotten heated with you before.
Sure.
And I'll actually get angry during our debate, but at the end of it, I brush it off. It's okay. It's decent.
You have a beer. Yeah. You have the virtual beer. That's why, when I tell people...
That's why you can't mute people, man. That's why you got to invite
I mute it just to avoid confrontation. I don't do it out of anger. I just want to avoid confrontation. If I make like my view yesterday...
That's how we grow as friends. That opens up doors. I mean, because even if you win or lose, it doesn't matter. If it's somebody you respect, now there's even more respect.
Yeah.
I respect somebody that trounces me in a debate and gives and changes my mind. If you can change my mind from my argument and have me now believe the way that you believe, not only have you won the argument, but now I have tremendous more respect for you because you were able to sway me, show me the failed logic that I have or the failed understanding of information that I had, and present me a better option. There's nothing but respect for somebody that does that. Now, if it degrades into fuck you, go fuck yourself, like that's not a debate.
Yeah, I don't ever want it to get in that category. That's why I don't want fights with anybody online. I have no anger against anybody. I really don't. I just want to, the Timothy Place, I think he's still on Patreon here. He wrote one of the nicest things that has been written on YouTube so far. And this was after yesterday, and it's on yesterday's show, and he said, I've noticed this year that you are a lot more positive than you've ever been, and that's a good thing. And it's not a front, it's not fake. It's just that, when I got the cancer scare, and thank God it ended up not being anything, major. When I had the diverticulitis surgery and they removed, the polyps and everything else, and, being able to, get my health a little bit in better order, even though I still have the pain and everything. It's just like with all of that and all the shit that's going on and all the garbage that I have been given because I supported Trump and this and that, it's just like, you know what? I don't want to go online and every day see negative, complaint, rip, negative, bitch. Like, I just want to go online, just like enjoy myself, not cake and ice cream, but just enjoy myself, socialize a little bit here and there, and then go offline and go to sleep, no stress, and I think that's the reason why people, it may be coming across more that I'm happier or positive. When I'm happier, when I said I know this is pinned on my Twitter, when I said that I started social distancing last year, I wasn't cutting people out of my life. I was cutting the negative atmosphere out of my life. And I noticed that the more I stay away from the negative, better things seem to be coming my way. And if that maybe could rub off on someone a little bit, maybe that's my version of, can we all just be a little nicer to each other? I still crack wise-ass jokes. I said last week, Dana Brooke looks like she's still sucking on a lemon. I urinated in my bathroom when the Iconics and Bliss and Cross were on TV. I will still really go overboard. Yesterday, I was making fun of Grand Metaliv, the Forgotten Sons of Bitches. Like, I'll still take my shots, but I just don't want anything to be malicious or malice. So I just try to avoid the confrontation. Yeah, that's kind of pussy on my part. I admit it.
I don't think you should. I think you should unmute people and just deal with it as it comes. I mean, the reality is...
Maybe I'll do that today.
The Don Tony that has existed for years, maybe not the biggest confrontation guy, but you always had an opinion. And it was always an opinion that people were allowed to clap back on, and you could either explain yourself or just ignore it. But you were always available to the point where people could say their piece, positive or negative. Now, I understand assholes that are being trolls. You know the difference of what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about trolls. I'm talking about people with differing opinions, Yeah. Closing up that door just, I don't know, man.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Maybe I will unmute everybody tonight. It's not like, it's not that big of a deal to me. I just found it more peaceful. You know what I compare it to? When you turn your phone on mute or you turn your ringer off on your phone. Sometimes you feel like you just need to turn the ringer off on your phone and just clear your mind. And that seems like my version of turning my ringer off. It's not I'm trying to avoid anyone, but I'm just trying to, keep my peace as much as possible. But,
Sure.
It's not meant with any malice. But, did you see last night? Something really weird happened on YouTube, which I was going to confront him. I didn't know if I should, and so far I haven't. But I follow Joe Cronin. He follows me. I've plugged his shows. He's plugged my shows. I've never said a negative thing about him. And last night, about 2 hours into my show, I got all of these Joe Cronin followers, all like shitting on my show. Cronin is number one. Support Cronin. Cronin said it first. Cronin this. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I support the guy too. I've never had any issues with him. Like, I never had that happen before with his show. And I'm wondering, and I was thinking to send him a message. Like, I was going to send him the link with the timestamp and say, why are all your followers like coming to my page and trolling me like this? Because I think his show was on last night while I was on. I found that really, really odd yesterday. That is, he had. You could go to the timestamp yesterday.
You got a taste of YouTube. That's all.
Yeah, it was surprised the shit out of me. I didn't block anybody, but they were like, Cronin's #1. I'm like, yeah, I like Cronin. I mean, we plug each other and we follow each other. So, like, you don't need to throw it in my face. He's good. But they were just like going out of their way to like start shit with me. And I'm like, for what? Like I thought, I was on the same side as him, unless maybe my sudden change in some of my views. I don't know what it was, but did you ever think that I would agree with Kaepernick kneeling?
No. No, I didn't. I didn't think you would. But that's fine.
I'm blown away, man. I'm not softening up. But, watching that cop put the knee on the guy's neck and seeing that guy for 10 minutes begging for his life, because you know he's dead after this is all over. So now you're watching the video to see how it led to his death. And as you're watching it, and the cop has just got this stoic look on his face like he's got a piece of meat under him. I compared it to hunting yesterday. Braun Strowman and others, they go hunting, they catch these giant fucking animals, they pose with them, they have no problem cutting the head off, slicing the meat, putting it in the freezer, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem. My father used to do it too. But you can separate yourself, from, the fact that was an animal because, look, it's for food and everything like that. This cop reminded me of a hunter that just landed his catch and was so, like, separated from the fact that was a human being begging for his life. That just shook me, man. It shook me in a way that, I'll tell you something else.
What's that?
And you probably saw it too. This is going to be a weird one for you. I wonder how many people out there saw it too. But just to show you how little things can really affect you. And this was why I put Jason Salomonstar on mute also. Swear to God. He didn't do anything wrong.
No.
This is going to blow you away. Jason went on the Jericho cruise. Do you remember the day before they left, Jason went to some restaurants? Do you remember any of the restaurants he went to?
No, I don't. I don't remember any of that.
All right. He went to one restaurant that pretty much sold, I think it was called Bacon. And he was posting pictures of him at the restaurants.
Okay.
So he shows up on my feed. And I was like, oh, cool, Jason's going on a cruise and everything. And I wanted to see, because I wanted to see how his hair was. Because I said to Jason like 2 weeks before, I'm like, grow your hair. So people, the more he grows his hair, the more he'll look like, like Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, right.
So he pops up on my feed, and he's in front of these restaurants, and one was Bacon. I don't know if anybody out there saw this, and I'm sorry if this disturbs some people. But when I go to look to see, like him at the restaurants and everything, a couple of trolls decided to post these videos of pigs getting slaughtered in a slaughterhouse. And showed all of these different ways. And it wasn't still shots, it was video. And as I'm going down the thing, I suddenly see this video. And it hit me like what happens to these animals. And ever since then, I swear on Jesus Christ, I'll walk inside right now and get it. Any meat, any beef that I buy, any eggs that I buy, any bacon that I buy, it's got to be grass-fed, free-range, and humane. I swear on my mother. I swear on our friendship. I swear on Patreon, my relationship with my fiance. That one click on his page to see him posing in front of a restaurant called Bacon changed my entire diet with meat, pork, eggs, dairy.
Really?
because that disturbed me so much of what I saw. And when I saw that, I immediately put him on mute. I can't see that again. Yeah, and I'm a tough person. But when it hit me of how animals are treated when they go to slaughter, everybody could talk about, oh, I'm an animal lover and I fight for animals and this and that. But, when you, on the same side, you're eating food and you're eating it, and it's not grass-fed, free-range, this and that, and then you don't realize that the very food you eat, of course we need it for our necessity, but that shook me so much that anything I buy now in those categories has got to be that or nothing. And I can't tell you how many times for dinner I've eaten tuna fish or cheese, pickles, and nothing else. Because if it's not available because of COVID, then I don't have it, So that, just to give you another example, why I'm mute sometimes, because what I saw on that his article, it wasn't him that posted it, it was trolls. He was in front of a place called Bacon, and assholes decided to do that, muted it. Weird. It's weird how little things affect you. It totally.
Right.
If I started pulling out stuff, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. So, wow, this has been an interesting show.
It's emotional.
It's emotional. It's been
a lot of feels. I mean, obviously, we're all dealing. Me and you and everybody listening are dealing with a lot of issues on Jesus Christ, so many levels.
Yeah.
But do you want to power through some questions? Or
Yeah. We only have a couple left. Getting some rapid fires. Andrew 914. Easy. Samoa Joe or Umaga?
Samoa Joe. Though, to be fair, Umaga still has my favorite match of all time, which was Umaga versus Maria on Monday Night Raw. But yeah, Samoa Joe is a better worker. I loved his stuff down in ROH. His stuff in TNA was great. And, even in NXT, he was good. I think that he's been a consummate professional through all of this, even when he was at his worst, which I think TNA was kind of his worst, because there was definitely a point there. In the beginning, he was fantastic with
Tribal
his
Cock.
Kurt Angle, right. But he kind of started slipping there towards the end. But as we understand what TNA really was at that time, there was more than enough reason for a lot of people to feel bad about themselves in that company.
Yeah.
But Samoa Joe offers a lot more versatility. And now that he's our announcer, now that he's being stuck in the permanent position as an announcer, once again, above and beyond, keeping his wrestling dream alive. So I'm totally in favor of Samoa Joe. Umaga, sadly, his career was cut short. I think he could have been the main event for a very long time. I thought that not only did he have the look, but the gimmick worked very well. Armando Estrada was a fantastic manager for him at the time / handler. But, once again, we're talking about a short, brief stint in time as far as mainstream goes versus Samoa Joe keeping his name in people's mouths throughout all these different years in history for such a long time.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with you 100%. If Umaga had a longer career as Umaga, I would take Umaga. But
Right.
It's too short to overcome Samoa Joe's illustrious career. What do you think of Samoa Joe? There's rumors that he is now the permanent replacement for Jerry Lawler.
Yeah, he is. I don't even think it's a rumor. I think it's a fact.
You like it?
I'm okay with it. I like him. Look, I think that once he starts getting a little bit more comfortable, I think a lot more of his character will come out. I hope they just don't handcuff him and they allow him to speak, as himself. Because I think that's what really makes a lot of these guys a little bit more tolerable and enjoyable. Yeah, tolerable to enjoyable is when they don't feel like they're handcuffed, and that's what we got for so many years with guys like Michael Cole, is just this handcuffed rhetoric that we got over and over and over again. But then every once in a while you see these moments where, other guys, even guest commentators come in there, like the Bear. That actually just came up the other day when Daniel Bryan was guest commentating on, I think it was SmackDown. He kept dropping the word bear into everything, which was hilarious. bear hugs, grin and bear it, can't bear it no more. And it was funny, and it's little nuances, little charismas like that make the commentary team so much more enjoyable. So Samoa Joe's a newer guy. I think that he is professional enough and educated enough to be entertaining.
I'm going to probably bring this up Wednesday, but this reminds me a lot, maybe a little bit more because of injuries back then. This is kind of reminding me a lot of the same way WWF treated Taz. The Taz, you felt still had some gas in the tank, and then they moved him to the announcer's booth, and they had no interest on having him do anything in the ring. It kind of feels the same way with Samoa Joe. It really feels like this guy's got a hell of a lot more in the tank. And if he's so great as an announcer, unless maybe Samoa Joe is content on doing commentating now and he's fine with not being in the ring. But man, when you look at the lack of big, legit stars that are needed right now in the ring, maybe he's still injured for all I know. But, I didn't think there was such a huge rush for him to be in the announcer's booth unless there's a little bit more to that story we don't know. So,
sure.
And I agree, Cassette. He comes off very natural. Very natural. Brutus Beefcake or Brutus Magnus?
Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Magnus, look, I'm fine with both, but, Brutus Beefcake. If we're talking about only Brutus Magnus, I go with Beefcake. Honky Tonk Man's guitar or Jeff Jarrett's guitar?
Oh, Honky Tonk. Come on now.
Yeah, me too.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah.
What if I added New Jack's guitar?
No.
Still Honky? Okay. All right. No, that's cool. Smoking Guns or the Young Pistols?
All right. I hate to feign ignorance here. Who the fuck are the Young Pistols? Why do I not?
I can't remember their names right now. Someone in the chat, you want to pull up their names? I can't remember their names right now. I'm picturing their outfits. Whoever they were at the time, it wasn't Tom Brandy. What the hell were the Young Pistols? But still, I would go with the Smoking Guns.
Yeah, I'd go with the Smoking Guns just by default. I'm sorry. I don't want to be insulting.
Yeah, someone will pull up the Young Pistols. I'm drawing a blank right now with the Young Pistols, but so Steve Armstrong and Tracy Smothers. That's right. Tracy Smothers. Oh, yeah. Tracy, way too early for Tracy Smothers. Yeah. Sean
Southern.
Okay. Steve Armstrong. I think that's the Armstrong that's still alive. He's got me blocked on Twitter. I have no idea why. Yeah. Scott Armstrong. He's still alive too, right? He was the referee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got me blocked also. I got a pair of Armstrongs that are blocked. So, Southern Boys, all right. But the Young Pistols, that gimmick was, really didn't fit. Renegade in WCW or Manu from Legacy?
Renegade. In a heartbeat. Renegade.
Yeah. Not even close. Even though I was very disappointed with the Ultimate Surprise, I don't know. It was a knockoff of the Ultimate Warrior, but it was, to me, I was like, all right, if that's what I have to take, I'll take it.
About him?
Huh?
Think they're going to make a dark side of the ring about him?
The Renegade? No, I think too short of a career. I mean, they definitely could, but that would be.
It would be Warrior heavy, obviously. Talking about the similarities and stuff like that and what WCW was trying to do, maybe it would get more into the reason why they wanted to use the Renegade instead of Ultimate Warrior, But I don't know. I mean, if you want to talk about a travesty, a tragedy anyways, that's a sad one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Rob Taker, I love Tommy Rich and Tracy Smothers, but not in the team you think when they were the FBI and ECW. I'm going to have some of that Italian food tonight. I'm going to go to Domino's. Fucking love Tommy Rich pretending to be Italian. The WCW Leprechaun or Hornswoggle?
vaguely remember the Leprechaun in WCW.
He didn't do too much, but
Yeah, I'm going to go with Swoggle. Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Leprechaun. Never a fan of Hornswoggle. Never
I'm not a
liked
fan
it.
of either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Flair or David Sammartino?
David Flair.
Me
Look,
too.
as much as people give David Flair shit, David Flair got Stacy Keibler. David Flair got Lucy Fur. You know what I mean? Like, David Flair was supposed to be the next one. And then even when
Didn't
he
he
went
get
to
Tori
WWE,
Wilson in a limo too? I thought he had
yeah,
Tori
he got
Wilson
Tori
too.
Wilson too. Yeah, and he got the Undertaker kind of in a bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome, man. That was his cameo. That was his moment. That was his 15 seconds of WWF fame.
Yeah.
So
David Flair was pulling in some strange. That's all I'm saying.
yeah,
So yeah, Daffy was just gorgeous, dear Lord.
yeah. John Cena's dad or the Miz's dad?
Mrs. Dad is funnier. I think. I mean, Cena's dad's okay, but Mrs. Dad was absolutely a highlight, especially with the whole.
Cena's dad reminds me of a snake oil salesman. You know, like trying to sell ice to Eskimos. You know, like Mrs. Dad, even though, you know, he just got under my skin. You know, when I started to see a little bit more of him on Ms. and Mrs., I'm like, you know,
Right.
all right.
He's a cornball. He's a good-hearted cornball is what he is.
Yeah. Val Venus or Ravishing Rick Rude?
Oh, got to go with Rick Rude. Yeah. Though, you know what? That's honestly a tough one for me because I have a lot of love and respect for Val Venus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so on board with his legalize it days right about now, but, you know, his career at the crux of his career, Val Venus was the man. And he was a part of RTC, which I loved, the Right to Censor gimmick, you know. He was definitely involved with some good stuff, you know. But no, Rick Rude he's a fucking legend.
Yeah.
So
James Storm or Hangman Page?
oh shit, that's a good one because America's Most Wanted was one of my favorite TNA tag teams. More than Beer Money. I know a lot of people liked Beer Money better, but I liked America's Most Wanted. I thought that they filled a niche gap that TNA was definitely representing at the time, and I really liked him in wow, Jesus Christ. Why am I blanking on his name now? Not Chris.
Oh, you're talking Chris Storm? James Storm.
James
Cowboy
Storm
James Storm.
and right, and who was his tag team partner?
Chris Harris.
America's Most Wanted?
Chris Harris.
Chris Harris. Thank you. It was Chris Harris. Thank you. But I mean, back then I thought that there was a lot to them in TNA, but Hangman Page is the future.
Yeah,
I will.
he's good.
I believe that Hangman Page in AEW is definitely the future of the company. He's one of the only people in AEW that I genuinely want to do very well. So,
You surprised with the amount of AEW hate that goes on social media by a lot of people that they don't ever give any praise or any attention to Hangman Page? Because
I don't think I think a lot of people don't like Hangman Page. Not necessarily have something against the guy. I just think a lot of people don't care, which is why they're not even scoring ones at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I see something in Hangman Page that this guy could be the all-American fucking super baby face. Like I see it, you know. I don't know if AEW sees it. I don't know if other people see it. But to me, he's like somebody that I want to win. You know, I just want him to win. So
I'm going to make a prediction Wednesday. I'm going to make a prediction that within the next year, one of those two promotions, probably NXT, goes to a different night. I think it's going to happen.
I could see that.
I think it's going to happen because I think splitting wrestling fans' viewership is going to be a breaking point.
But it doesn't hurt WWE at all.
No,
that's the thing.
They just have to swallow, their pride a little bit and be prepared for the trolls on social media to say, I see AEW, scared you or chased you off Wednesday night. So what?
Yeah, but it financially doesn't matter to WWE.
Right.
And the only reason I say that is because they're still airing NXT on the network.
Right. And they might be able to get a little bit more advertising revenue if they could get a better rating on a different night. I just have to examine.
Don't you think that AEW will be the one to move then?
No, I don't think so. I think NXT would be the one to move. I think WWE. I got to see what USA Network has right now on Tuesday and Thursday nights. But I think I'm going to make that prediction Wednesday. Definitely before the end of next year. Because right now, COVID, it's a little hard, but before the end of next year, one of those two promotions will move to another night, and I think it'll be NXT.
Okay.
Yeah. Andre the Giant or the Big Show?
Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Or Big Show.
Is that on there? It sure is.
Yeah. Number 11.
Oh, yeah. Andre the Giant guy. Come on. Without Andre the Giant, WWE would not have had a Big Show.
Yeah. You know what's funny? A lot of my love for Andre the Giant is because of my grandmother. She adored Andre the Giant. Hulk Hogan was her favorite, but she adored Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant went to the Ridgewood Grove Arena once. I always talked about it. He was had a match with Stuka, who was his tag partner. My grandmother met him, adored Andre the Giant. So that's why I kind of have a little bit of favoritism. Although, when I became a wrestling fan and really started to watch wrestling, Andre was beyond, his peak. So Big Show, I have witnessed his entire career from day one. So FBI or the Baldies from ECW?
FBI.
Yeah. Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon or Jim Ross and Gorilla? Oh, no. Jim Ross and Gorilla Monsoon. No. Why say Jay and Gorilla?
That never happened.
No, Jim Ross and Gorilla Monsoon teamed up at least once. I remember watching a Bob Backlund. I think it was Backlund versus Bret Hart. They definitely did, I think, maybe Superstars.
Wow, Jim Ross
Gorilla and JR. I think he meant probably Heenan. No. I know where he's going. Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon or Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon?
Oh.
I think that's what he meant.
Oh, Gorilla.
Yeah.
Look, he busted. You know what? He did bust Vince McMahon's balls pretty well, though. Which was pretty.
I'm telling you, McMahon. Have you ever been in the ring, McMahon? Every other word out of his mouth was McMahon.
I'm switching. Yeah, I'm going to say Jesse and Vince in that scenario.
Yeah,
because
I think Gorilla with Heenan.
Yeah, Gorilla and Heenan are.
Yeah. But I swear to God, I am 100% sure because
Let me add one for you. Vince and Jesse, Vince and Piper, or Vince and Macho Man?
Vince and Jesse. Piper and Vince, I loved it, but it wasn't long enough. Macho Man, he felt more like Jesse was just beautiful color. Piper was comedic.
Piper is wonderful.
Macho Man, it never fit with me with Macho Man because he could still go. And it was like, why is he in the announcer's six? It's like, fucking put him in the ring. And then he had the feud with Crush.
Piper could still go at that time when he was with Vince too,
Yeah, but that was very temporary. It was very temporary. And they ultimately set up the angle with Ric Flair. So it was just a very short term with Piper. So,
okay. Good.
Slick or Mr. Fuji? It's a tough one.
Mr. Fuji. I love Mr. Fuji.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw out the fucking obvious, but I always liked Mr. Fuji, especially when he was managing Demolition.
Yeah. See, my highlight is Fuji managing Morocco. Fuji Vice. Oh, man. Those were fucking great, man. They did the stand-up comedian. That's on my This Week in Wrestling History I used to do. Him and Morocco did stand-up on the WWF show with the Tuesday Night Titans, and it was the drizzling shits. And I think Oakland was filling in for Vince hosting that episode, and they did stand-up, and it was so bad that I couldn't stop laughing. And Fuji, I got to get you the clip. I'm going to send you the clip later of Fuji and Morocco doing stand-up. Oakland is dying laughing during it. It's just awful. It's so bad that it's funny.
Right.
And last but not least, Too Cold Scorpio or Shelton Benjamin?
Shelton. I like Shelton. I know Too Cold Scorpio has a place in history and stuff like that, but between the two guys, I've always liked Shelton more. I mean, the world's greatest tag team is one of the most incomplete stories that ever happened, and I really thought that they were amazing, above and beyond, especially for the time. His solo career with his mama and his gold hair, I was a little about that, but Shelton Benjamin, he fit my time. I really enjoyed him a lot.
Yeah. I got to go with Scorpio. Maybe because I did so many podcasts with him, with Mass Maniac, I got to know him personally a little bit. Scorpio is funny. I like Shelton too, but I got to lean with Scorpio. So now Aaron's got some rapid fires, and we're going to be done a couple of minutes. These actually got like 4 questions left. Aaron has got some rapid fires, and this is more because I don't follow Mortal Kombat. He wants us just to choose which name we think is cooler. Easy enough. So you had to choose between Sector or Cyrex.
Sector.
Yeah, me too. Shao Kahn, and no, he does not own the Jaguars, or Shinnok.
Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn or Shinnok.
Yes.
Yeah, I go with that. All right. Kano or Katana?
Kano.
Really? Okay. I like Katana because I think the sword is. There was actually a bike. There's a bike called Katana.
Kano's kind of a badass, though. He's an Australian mercenary.
Kano?
So.
Yeah, I said Kano. All right, Kano. Yeah. Kano reminds me of one of the members of the Orient Express. That was Kato. That's what it was.
That was Kato, yes.
Yeah,
very good.
Kato. Noob, Cybot, or Nightwolf?
It's actually Noob Saibot.
Didn't I say
So,
that?
like,
Noob Cybot.
It's actually the creator's name. The people that created Mortal Kombat, it's their names backwards. Tobias Boone is actually the name.
Okay. All right.
Guys
I see
that
that.
created it.
Tobias
Yes.
Boone.
Or Nightwolf. Nightwolf is also an amazing band. So
Yeah. I go with Nightwolf. When I used to, just show you how old I am, when I had my Buick Regal, the two-tone one I've told in the past, I had a CB radio in it for a little while. And me and my friends would be on the CB radio, and we would talk to people all over the place. One of my friends tried to pick up some girl through the CB radio once, and my handle was Nighthawk. So
really?
people would be like, Nighthawk. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Yeah, I'm just chilling. You know, we would be in the CB radio, Nighthawk. Baraka, not Obama, not Baraka, not Obama, or Cabal.
Baraka.
Is it
wins.
Baraka or Baraka?
No, it's Baraka.
Baraka, 619. No, I go with Baraka. I like that. Shiva or Shang Tsung?
Shang Tsung.
Yeah, Shang Tsung. I like that. Kintaro or Motaro?
Oh, same damn thing. Kintaro.
Yeah, but Kintaro, you kind of like feel like you're expecting the last name to come after it. I think
kin is a cool word. If you're talking about the way it sounds, kin, that's brother. That's good.
Yeah.
Mo, well, we all know what a mo is. So
yeah, I expect to hear kind of more after that first one. Raiden or Quan Chi? Quan Chi.
Raiden.
Yeah, Quan Chi sounds like something like a Japanese girl would say. Quan Chi.
Yeah.
I go with Raiden. And last but not least, Scorpion or Sub-Zero?
He meant Scorpion.
Scorpion?
Yeah. No, yeah, Scorpion.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Scorpion. Though I like Sub-Zero better as a character.
You know what's funny? My parents' refrigerator's name is Sub-Zero. There's a refrigerator company called Sub-Zero. Yeah, for real. Hard to get parts though. I'll go with you with that.
All right.
On Castle Chronicles, just gone. It sounded like he was taking a piss out of Nia Jax with the way Kev Castle read it. So a little more polite version for us. Nia Jax should use the Yokozuna-like Banzai drop as a finishing move. She's big enough to use it effectively. It would be very entertaining to see her bum squash and devastate her female opponents like Yoko did to Duggan and Tatanka. The Banzai drop would be an amazing finish for Nia Jax. What do you think?
No. Because, look, I don't know how much you got into it, but I'm really underneath the premise right now that Nia Jax needs to go back to training or something. I understand that Kyrie is injured again. Some people are saying it's Nia's fault. Some people are saying that it's not Nia's fault. If it is Nia's fault, she really needs to get reevaluated. And I definitely don't want to trust her to new moves where she throws all of her weight onto an opponent's chest.
Well, you heard there's a rumor going around is the buckle bomb is now banned.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
I'm not sure.
But the sites that I think there was one site that was reporting it, and now they've deleted it. So
yeah, guessing.
I don't know. Right.
I don't think that move is necessary, but you know what? I don't think Nia Jax needs to do a move that is known by someone extremely heavy. I think WWE wants her to be more portrayed as being extremely agile for her size. Yoko was very agile too. Yoko would be able to move around. And my God, he took that clothesline once and flipped around him. I still can't understand how he did that. But I think Nia Jax, I think you leave the Banzai drop for someone else. It would look devastating with Nia Jax, but could you just imagine if she overshots it and lands on somebody's face? I mean,
well, yeah, not only that, or she loses control of her actual weight and just falls on somebody. It's just, it seems even more dangerous than it should be.
That makes more sense because a lot of the girls are very small compared to Duggan and Tatanka, who are 230s, 240s, 220s. Yeah. You're talking about a girl that's a buck 10. Imagine Nia you can't do that with women. So, veteran theory, ha ha ha. Sequel from your last question. Can you get a woman pregnant by tweet fucking them? I don't believe you can, but you probably could tweet that you got them pregnant. And then they ran off with the baby. Look, I fell into that. I think you're the one that started with the tweet fucking term. Was it you that actually started that?
I don't even remember anymore, DT.
I know I get the credit for it, but I know I didn't originate it. But look, it is what it is. But Blue Nose 91, do we think WWE is saving The Undertaker's Last Ride documentary for a reason? He thinks the things in Chapter 4 were recorded ages ago, and he's wondering what the holdup is for the next episode. I think people are just taking off for a week. Even Live PD took off this week. Last night, after I did the show, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, let me go watch tonight's Live PD I missed. And it was a repeat. And they're just trying to milk it a little bit more. Maybe to try to coincide with Backlash and then a week after. I'm enjoying the Last Ride documentary, but, this is leading to something. We're nowhere near WrestleMania 2022. Or 2021, excuse me. So, this came out at a good time. It's a fun thing to see in the middle of COVID, but I don't think and he says there's a Sting one tomorrow. It's kind of weird how they would just throw Sting in there, right, smack in the middle of all of this, but
it's a good premise. I mean, WWE obviously sees that Dark Side of the Ring is very popular right now, and it's getting them a ton of notice. It's a good idea. And obviously, WWE isn't going to focus on the complete negatives of their business, but there are definitely a lot of wrestlers and individual legends and stuff that could do a 5-part documentary series and still be entertaining. Like the fact that they did it with Taker, obviously it was a playoff of not only Dark Side of the Ring, but a playoff of The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. Stick to it. There's a lot of people that love to see a series like this on. There's a lot of past people that we haven't talked about, like a Rick Rude or a Mr. Perfect. Yeah. And while it can be sad at some points, the reality is he had an amazing career. But it also really depends on how how much back footage they have, how much B-roll they have of these guys too. So while it's a nice idea for them to do all these other wrestlers, how much do they actually have in order to do that? You know?
Yeah. Just to let everybody know live, we're going to wrap this up in 5 minutes. I actually got to do a couple of things, but we're pretty much done. But did you check out Undertaker's interview with Peter Rosenberg last couple of days?
No, I haven't checked that out yet. Any good? Go
on Twitter later and look up Undertaker, Rosenberg, Hogan. He talked about when he won the title from Hogan in 1991 and how Hogan lied pretty much about getting his neck injured. And it's fascinating the way the Undertaker talks about it. You're like Hogan was very concerned about taking the tombstone. And, Undertaker, even though he was young at the time, he's like, I will protect you. And when he did the spot with Ric Flair, when Rick put the chair in the ring, and Undertaker tombstone Hogan, you got to hear Undertaker tell his story. Undertaker's like, he immediately heard Hogan go, oh! And then he was in the back with the trainers, and Undertaker was hiding with, I think, Shane McMahon. I think 1991, Shane McMahon. And he says that he hears Hogan tell the trainers, get my wife and my kids on the phone. And Undertaker didn't see the tombstone on replay until Tuesday in Texas. And he looked at it and he realized that Hogan's head went nowhere near the mat. Nowhere near the mat. What happened? They're fucking somebody up in Brooklyn. What do you mean? The cops are beating up somebody in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's going on in Chicago right now, too. I'm talking to a lot of
Prospect
people.
Park.
Chicago's going down right now.
I can't turn on Fox News. Oh, all right. She's telling me, tell everybody, if you turn on Fox News right now, you could see the footage. And she's like, good, because they're trying to destroy stuff and they're getting into fights with the cops. Look, there's a video floating around of a woman, heavyset woman, punching 2 cops in the face, I think yesterday. And after the cop got punched in the face twice, the cop knocked her out, punched her right back. And a lot of people are trying to stir that up. I'll be honest with you, I don't like an eye for an eye. But, law enforcement is still law enforcement. Yes, they're not supposed to kill people. All white, she says also, by the way. She's giving me play-by-play. But the thing is that you punch a cop in the face, and this was not like where there was 100 people around. She's in the middle of the street. It's going to be a viral clip if it hasn't already, but she's in the middle of the street. And she goes up to the cop and punches him in the face. Cop turns around, and she does it again. So the cop, winded up and punched her out. And she was on the floor. And honestly, as angry as I am at police right now for being so careless and so uncaring, careless and uncaring, and after all of the tragedies, you still have a clear head to do what this asshole did. It's mind-boggling, but I still, that doesn't give people a right to just start, beating the fuck out of cops. It'll turn into, I don't know, but anyway, 3 more questions. Paul Bielowski, he thinks Drew is doing a very good job. He hopes he gets a chance to still be the champ when the crowds come back. He'd like to see someone like Cesaro get a face run, compete for either the IC or the U.S. title. Definitely has earned it. He misses Stell. Why can't Corbin go on a losing streak? Who is Stell? I don't know who Stell is. I miss Stell.
Is he talking about, what's her name? Oh, my God. Why am I blanking on her name now?
Stell. I miss Stell. Why can't Corbin go on a losing streak? I can't stomach him. I miss Stell. I don't know what that... Well, you misspelled. You misspelled Stell. I don't know who Stell is.
I don't know who Stell is either. I don't know who
Stell. I miss Stell. Why can't Corbin...
you can have Stell. Stell is... If he's talking about Stell, like...
Oh, okay. Look at
I love Stell, but I...
All right.
Is that like a 2-parter? Like, I miss Stell too.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that apparently is a caller named Stell. Oh, by the way, I can't believe I forgot. starting June, we're going to try this out. We're going to, for Patreon, we're going to start with Patreon, see where it goes. We're going to try to have you call in. If anybody wants to call in and ask a couple of questions live. How we're going to do this is we're going to start using Discord again for this show. And what we'll do is, just like I have Kev set up for, Monday nights, I'm going to have the other computer going. And anybody that's tuning in live, after we get into VIPers, because obviously VIPers, they get into the club first at a restaurant, which is fair. But after we do all that, anybody wants to call in the show and just, ask questions, whatever, what we'll do is we have a channel set up on Discord right now that is for live questions. And what we'll do is you go into the regular Patreon Discord, and anybody that wants to call into the show, what we'll do is we'll move you into the chat room, the room for live calls. And then all you have to do is just make sure your mic is on. And then when we're ready to take your call, we'll just connect you to the server. You could call in, have whatever you're prepared that you want to talk about. You could even post it in the chat beforehand that you want to call in to talk about whatever. Even if it's something we said in the show earlier and you agree, disagree, want to debate something, just, all we just need to remind everyone is, we can't spend a half an hour with every single person calling in. But starting June, we're going to do that. So for everybody tuning in, even if it's download, archive, replay, live, starting June, we're going to take calls and we'll see where this goes. It works out well, we'll expand it into other shows.
And let me just throw this out here in case Stella is listening. I love you, bro, and I miss you on Shoot the Defense, which is his soccer show that he does. It's pretty popular, actually. He gets
he's got an awesome podcast episode up right now. I think that talks about mental health too.
He's so good at carrying a conversation by himself, though. Like, he is amazing.
There's a lot of
international shows that I listen to. And he is definitely one of those guys that can just hold a conversation by himself and just be completely interesting. I mean, you have that ability too, but I'm talking about internationally.
Yeah. I don't know I didn't think he was talking about Stell as in Shoot the Defense, because he spelled it Stell. Stell from Shoot the Defense only has one L. So
I think it could have been just a misspelling, but I used to talk about Stell all the time. I've been out of touch with a lot of people, and believe me, it's nothing personal. It's just I don't know. It's been weird to try and catch up. Like, there's even a few people like AJ Maggot. I don't know if you remember AJ Maggot.
Sure, I remember. Absolutely.
I just saw, and I still never posted a birthday wish, but I just saw on my Facebook notifications that I missed his birthday, like an asshat. But he used to do the show Wrestling Soup back in 2010 with me. He was on a few, because we would have like this circling chair where different hosts would come on a Wrestling Soup in the very beginning. And he was one of the guys that I relied on, back in the days of me and Andrew Carluck, as well. So, True. But yeah, no, AJ Maggot's another guy I got to reach out to.
There's a lot of a big beard, right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember the beard. Yeah, that's how I always remember him, the beard.
Very unique looking dude, and he's of course a big Aussie and stuff like that too. And he was very, at the time, especially back then, I know he did his own podcast after that for a little bit too, but really enlightened a lot of people onto the Aussie wrestling scene, which was really rabid at the time too, it's kind of funny looking back on it now. It's like, oh, well, what happened to that? But at that time, it was a pretty solid scene, it was doing very well for itself. But there's just a lot of people that I've lost contact with over time, and it's never been anything personal. It's just, I gotta do a better job of reaching out. Yeah.
And could we have a non-Latino mass wrestler like the Patriot Del Wilkes at the time? Yeah, look, I agree, but Impact Wrestling is Suicide.
Yeah,
it's not Latino. So there's a few out there. Ben Salmon, would Lucha Underground being discontinued? Do we think WWE or AEW should sign Luis Fernandez Gil, Dario Cueto as an on-air character?
I like.
That's not bad, man. That's not bad.
I think that guy he's done a lot of like TV stuff too. Like, I guess he was in Mexican soap operas too.
Yeah.
For a while. So he has like an entire IMDb catalog history, but he is such a good character. He is such a great heel. I'm surprised somebody's never made the reach out for him. You know, I could even see, and this is total fantasy booking 101 here, but I could easily see Dario Cueto going into like AEW and starting his own Lucha Underground stable. Just saying.
You know what?
Have an invasion of sorts, you know?
They're doing that kidnapping storyline in NXT. And I think El Hijo del Fantasma might end up being a leader of it. Man, imagine if they
But there's
interjected
more
Cueto
people
in that.
AEW, though. There's more people that are attached to Lucha
Yeah.
than AEW.
Sure.
Yeah. And not only that Dark Order stuff it ain't landing. I know some people like it, but to me, it's not landing.
It's morphing. They're slowly changing it. And the last question for today, and I actually have a audio video clip. Chris Lumna, do we think BattleBots announcer Farouk Tawhid, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Tawhid, could be the next great wrestling ring announcer if he chose to be? And he gave us a link of some of Farouk's work in BattleBots, and I want to share it with everybody and see what do you think. If you think that this guy could possibly have a future as a wrestling announcer. This is pretty cool.
It's robot fighting time!
Spins at 4,000 RPM. Yeah. Like Lucky Slipper is working again. Oh!
In the red square, Blade in the UK, it's the banger, you're the mash. It's Cobalt. Hey kids, do you like lollipops? You get one free with your tetanus shot. Don't worry, it'll only hurt forever. Cover your ears. This bot bites harder than Mike Tyson. Is there ice on the road? Cause you're about to get assaulted. If it were a painter, it would be called Vincent Van.
Oh,
Ari Scary Knight, buffering. It's time for some suffering. It's the brave heart of bots, and you're about to get killed. It rules the box like Kim Jong-il.
He's the Ayatollah of the remote controller.
You down with MIT? Yeah, you know me. Get ready for some father-daughter robot slaughter. Please, don't blaze me, bro. Roses are red. This bot is blue. Poems are dumb. Now, you're gonna die. Every breath you take, every move you make, he'll be wrecking you. It's inspired by a beaver. So, damn. If it were a James Bond film, it would be called The Bot with the Golden Guns. Their opponents get shaken and stirred. It puts the aching in bacon. This little piggy's gonna make you go, wee, wee, wee. It's in a 12-step program because it's a Rex addict. Think you're in jeopardy? Oh no, it's time to play Wheel of Misfortune.
what do you think?
NXT, not WWE.
Yeah, I don't.
WWE, they would curb him and they would make him very boring. But in NXT, I can see a guy like that having a lot of fun out there.
Yeah, wow. That was entertaining, but I see someone like that for like indie wrestling. Where indie wrestling would let him go for a couple of minutes doing this during the show. Because I just can't see WWE letting him be comedic for every match.
But
You're like
NXT. It's a little bit more lenient down.
Yeah. But he's great, man. I'm sure he didn't write that stuff, but he's got that voice that, you know what? That kind of reminds me a little bit of Armando Alejandro Estrada. Like I could picture him.
I got a little Joel Gertner in there too.
Yeah, sure. Like a PG Joel Gertner. I could picture him being a manager for
and if he's
wrestler.
writing his own stuff. I mean, that's even better, So.
Yeah, he could be a manager for a wrestler that's not that great on the mic, and he could just be talking smack. You know what? He's like an Abraham Washington. Reminds me
Damn.
of like an Abraham Washington. He could
don't make
be
that
the Abraham Washington we always wanted, or we thought we always wanted, or we didn't know we always wanted, but didn't get.
Yes.
So, all right, Mish, I want to get out of here. I got to cook dinner. I want to see what the hell's going on in Brooklyn, but apparently some crazy shit going down on Fox News. So,
I'll be watching your news.
yeah,
I'll be
much
watching
love, man. Stay strong,
news.
and I will talk to you this week, my friend.
Much love.
Yeah, same here.
See you
same
guys.
here. Take care. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Got to get out of here quickly so I could get this up for everybody. I definitely, like I said, we did this a night early because we wanted all our international patrons to enjoy this before June 1st. But I thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank everybody who checked it out live, mingled with us a little bit. Definitely a different show if you look back on it. Some points very, very emotional, but I hope everybody out there stays strong, be safe, and just try to just keep your head upbeat. There's so much negative going on right now, and hopefully tonight is the pinnacle of it, and we start to heal. Not good, but I hope everybody enjoyed this. Please post your feedback. Definitely welcome it as always, and thank you for the support. Hopefully you stick around in June because we're going to have a pretty interactive month trying out the calls and everything. And, definitely send your feedback. Always appreciate it. So on behalf of Mish, I am Don Tony, bidding you farewell for this evening. And I will catch you all again Monday for the Don Tony Kevin Castle Show. Take care, everybody. Be strong.
I need to tell you something.
Breakfast soup. Gotta go downstairs. Gotta have my bowl.